Welcome to the Fantasy Audiobook. Let you conquer the abyss, and you become the king of the abyss. Chapter 21. If we say that career awakening at the age of 18 is the top priority in life, then group trials are the second most important thing. In an era where everyone is changing jobs, in order to fight against the abyss, humans must train more new people to stand up. What was once a university campus has transformed into today's major universities, still bringing fresh blood to the world. 200 years ago, people changed their destiny through the college entrance examination. Today, 200 years later, people change their lives by changing jobs. But it doesn't mean that taking the step of changing jobs means the world will be brighter. The collective trial is the big test of the new era. Every year, new professionals are gathered together and undergo various assessments. Those who pass the assessment will be trained by top universities. For slightly less impressive ones, there are also higher education institutions that will issue invitations. Of course, even if you are not selected by any school at all, big families and big guilds will still come to recruit you. The water here is also very deep. Popular professions such as A-level mage have been booked by major universities in advance. Each top university has a limited number of places per year. After booking the talents, there is basically not much left after they are scattered to various places. And those big guilds and big families have to cut off a few husks and train their own family members. There may not even be 3 or 5 places left for professionals below a level to compete for. The assessment will be in 2 days. The location is the small battlefield in the north of Tiananmen City. Chu Ran was also a little surprised when he saw the assessment location. Have you played so much this year? Go directly to Tiananmen City. There are 4 major cities in the Dragon Kingdom. The entrances to the abyss on the 20th, 27th, 51st, and 60th floors were suppressed respectively. Tiananmen City corresponds to the entrance on the 20th floor. It is the safest city among the 4 major cities. But even so, the abyss creatures that people there need to fight against all start at level 40. The so-called small battlefield is almost like an abyss that has been completely resolved. Integrate with reality and become a renewable monster spawning point. But the small battlefield in Tiananmen City is definitely much more difficult than Haicheng. The assessment is scheduled to be held in Tiananmen City this year. There is probably something big going on. There will be many people there, so I have to keep a low profile. Chu Ran secretly made up his mind not to be too pushy, so as not to cause any trouble. You will be strong in this profession, but you must not waste it until you have fully grown up. Stable development is victory. 2 days later, Haicheng Central Plaza. Tens of thousands of new professionals, led by the leading teachers from their respective schools, were divided into square formations, waiting to enter the teleportation formation ahead. That's Tiananmen City. The first high-level abyss entrance suppressed by the Dragon Kingdom has a history of 150 years. I heard that the entrance to the abyss in Tiananmen City is almost completely suppressed. Maybe our Dragon Kingdom will be the first country to completely clear the 20-story abyss. I don't know if we can go to the battlefield this time. Don't even think about going to the battlefield. Most of us are around level 10. If we go to the front line, we'll just die. It would be nice to gain some experience. After learning that they were going to Tiananmen City to witness the cruelty of the frontline battlefield in person, many new professionals were extremely excited, nervous and excited at the same time. There was endless discussion, and with the large number of people, the place became chaotic. Fortunately, the leading teacher understood the thoughts of these children and did not stop them. Chu Ran stood in the crowd and yawned, with a tired look on his face. He has not been idle these past 2 days. He has worked overtime to clear monsters, all the way to level 39. He is only a little experience away from learning another skill. Ranzi, have you guided me too much? Why are you so vain? Qi Wenxuan slapped Chu on the back and asked with a wink. Chu Ran said angrily, your father and I are busy with business, you'd better be more respectful and be careful not to divide the family property with you. Get out. Qi Wenxuan laughed and cursed and then said, I'm level 10 and have learned a new skill. What about you? Chu Ran thought for a while and made a 3 sign to him. 30. Qi Wenxuan subconsciously raised his voice. Then he quickly covered his mouth and looked around like a thief. When he saw that no one was paying attention to them, he whispered, you won't change jobs, will you? It's only been a few days since I awakened, and I've already reached level 30. This speed is really scary. After all, their leader teacher is only level 2, generally around level 70. Chu Ran didn't hide anything from Qi Wenxuan, and there was nothing to hide. He said directly, it will be done on the same day. Awesome. Qi Wenxuan gave a thumbs up and said, you are really awesome. If something happens to Tianmen City this time, I'm counting on you to take me away. He said half-jokingly. Chu Ran was speechless and said, what could happen? It was the first big city built in the Dragon Kingdom. The front line has been fighting for more than 100 years, and the danger has long been eliminated. Besides, we newbies are just going to visit, so we can't do anything. Kill a few blood-retarded monsters and experience the dangers of advanced abyss creatures in advance. If something goes wrong, even the teacher leading the team can't be counted on. You kid, please stop giving me a bad mouth. Chu Ran shook his head. Qi Wenxuan licked his lips and said, isn't this just a metaphor? Nothing will happen. If safety cannot be ensured, how dare you open Tianmen City for us to do a group trial this year? Chu Ran said nothing. He said it casually, as if he was going on an outing this time, but actually he felt a little strange in his heart. The abyss suppressed by Tianmen Town has not been completely conquered. Wouldn't it be a bit inappropriate to use it as a trial site for new professionals? Or has the current situation deteriorated to a certain extent, and the new recruits need to grow up quickly? This thought flashed through Chu Ran's mind. Before he could think carefully, the leader in front of him said loudly, we will conduct trials with Baicheng this time. Everyone should be more alert and don't embarrass Haicheng. Before the voice fell, one by one, figures flew over. They were all high-level professionals. Chu Ran looked up and saw the big boss of the Knights Association he had seen before. There was also an archer with his face covered. The most important thing was that the big villain, the sinful Lin Lan, was also among them. When Chu Ran saw Lin Lan, he remembered that this woman raised her hand and cast a spell on the crowd, injuring many passers-by. These are the senior professionals sent by the Haicheng Grand Guild to assist us. They are also the team leaders. The team leader explained. This crazy woman is the team leader. Chu Ran blinked, feeling very unhappy. Thank God she doesn't go crazy. For the arrival of these senior professionals. Many newcomers are also very excited. Is that the boss Jingblong of the Knights Association? It is said that he is about to reach rank 4. He is the highest level professional among the major guilds in Haicheng. Boss Chen Xing won the title of marksman in 2 turns. Lin Lan, the boss of the Secret Magic Society, is here too. She is my goddess. I heard that she is still a student at Donghua Academy. I will work hard to be her junior student and strive to be closer to her. The newcomers present were already familiar with several big bosses. Various honors and legendary experiences were recounted like countless treasures. Chu Ran looked at the young man who had promised to be Lin Lan's disciple, and sighed, how close do you want to be with that woman? Brother, I wish you a long life. At this time, Qi Wenxuan suddenly came over and said, of course, I won't really be a cuckold, right? Even high-level professionals are involved in this collective trial, which is not a good sign. Qi Wenxuan just looked dumbly. Not really stupid. In previous years, group trials were held in places that were slightly difficult without losing control. Letting them go to a frontline battlefield like Tianmen City is obviously over the top. Chu Ran shook his head. Maybe it's just in case, don't think too much. Qi Wenxuan said worriedly, I hope nothing really happens. Chu Ran didn't say anything. This lineup looks very reliable, but if something goes wrong, you can't count on them. At the entrance to the abyss of Tianmen City, there are often creatures over level 100 appearing. These 3-level advanced professionals of more than 100 levels are simply not enough to look at. If something goes wrong, we can only count on the garrison team in Tianmen City and those top professionals to come to the rescue. Qi Wenxuan was not the only one who discovered the problem. Among the tens of thousands of cute newcomers in Quanai City, there were others who noticed that something was wrong. A little spark is enough to start a prairie fire. Discussion quickly ensued. Some people are even asking the leader of the team whether there will be any danger in going to Tianmen City this time. Listening to the commotion below, Lin Lan looked impatient. I am really unlucky. In the past few days, nothing has pleased her. First, there was a problem with the Lin family's leek field in the desert of death. A few days later, he was drawn again to accompany the team to Tianmen City to protect these rookies. What is your identity? The noble daughter of the Lin family, the top genius cultivated by the Secret Magic Society, one of the vice presidents, and also has the identity of Donghua Academy. Let yourself protect these newbies. If she loses even one hair, it will be more precious than the lives of these newbies. The more Lin Lan thought about it, the more frustrated he became, and his tone became even colder. What nonsense are you talking about? Tianmen City is a frontline battlefield, and you will definitely encounter danger. If you think you are just playing house, get out of here. As a senior professional, when Lin Lan became angry, ice blue light circulated around him, and the temperature of the entire square dropped a lot. Many people were immediately afraid to speak. Okay, Lin Lan, why are you arguing with a bunch of idiots? Jing Long from the Knights Association lowered his voice after finishing speaking. It's really not peaceful over there in Tianmen City. Don't cause trouble or get yourself into trouble. Lin Lan was noncommittal, turned around and flew towards the teleportation array with a cold face. Jinglong shook his head and said loudly, "It's time to go." Several senior professionals went to the teleportation array. The leading teachers also led the students to the teleportation array in an orderly manner. Chu Ran's square was ranked 6th. Soon it was his turn to step inside. This was the first time Chu Ran had seen this kind of interprovincial teleportation array. He heard that building such a teleportation array would cost a huge amount of money, and millions of blue star coins would be burned every minute it was maintained. To carry out an ultra-long distance transmission, at least hundreds of millions of funds would be needed. If this cost spreads to the entire Dragon Kingdom, it will really be an astronomical figure. It's great to have money. Chu Ran stepped into the formation with some emotion. The light flashed before his eyes. It is different from the teleportation in Haicheng City in the blink of an eye. This time it actually stayed for about 5 seconds. With all of his naked attributes currently over 100, he felt a little dizzy. The farther the distance, the higher the physical requirements. But this is just a little uncomfortable for Chu Ran now. But it's different for other newcomers. When the light dissipated, a large plane appeared in Chu Ran's field of vision, with many newbies lying around and some people lying on the ground vomiting wildly. I want to spit out all my bile. No one told me that interprovincial teleportation is so uncomfortable. It mainly depends on the attributes. I have high endurance, so I don't feel much. Could this be the first trial? Ah, gulu gulu. Looking around, there were only a few hundred students left standing. Almost 90% of them cannot even stand firmly. Ranzi, are you okay? Qi Wenxuan's face turned a little pale, but he was a soldier and didn't have much reaction. He subconsciously came to care about Chu Ran. Chu Ran said, "I'm just dizzy, nothing wrong." "That's right, I almost forgot about you." Qi Wenxuan came to his senses and laughed innocently. This good friend of mine has already reached level 30, so teleporting across provinces is nothing. Chu Ran gave him a look, telling him to be calm, and then began to look around. This great plain is covered with red soil, and the air is filled with blood. It exudes a faint fishy odor. Is this the front line? Chu Ran remained calm. The smell of blood in the air was too strong. It can be seen that there have been many tragic battles here. As the transfer progresses, there were more and more students around, and after a few minutes, everyone was teleported. Now more people can stand. There were probably thousands of people. The rest were all pale and vomiting, and a few with poor endurance attributes even fainted on the spot. The quality of this batch is so poor that they can't even survive the interprovincial transmission. At this time, a group of people wearing black uniforms fell from the sky. The leader was a middle-aged man with a hideous scar on his face. Full of chilling air. It's the man from the sword-holding division. Qi Wenxuan whispered. The sword-holding division is one of the top troops in the Dragon Kingdom. They are responsible for the security work of Tianmen City. After the man with the scarred face snorted coldly, he didn't even look at Lin Lan and the others, and glanced at the students who were still standing. You guys are okay. In 1 minute, those who can get up will follow me. It's still a few kilometers away from Tianmen City. 200 miles, go at full speed, and you can still make it to dinner. After saying that, he turned around and left. Some lead teachers want to use therapeutic skills to help students recover, but was interrupted by a man in black uniform. The captain said, "Let them get up on their own," he said coldly. The teacher had no choice but to yell at the students to stand up on their own. Those whose condition was not affected ran forward first, following the scarred face. The rest followed sparsely after getting up. Chu Ran was stunned. What the? Isn't it just military training? Some people had speculated before that the interprovincial teleportation array might be the first trial. And it turned out to be true. 99% of the newbies in Haicheng felt dizzy and couldn't even stand up after crossing the teleportation array. Then they were forced by the big guys of the sword-holding division to run to Tianmen City. They suffered a lot along the way. Even Qi Wenxuan, a big and strong man, almost couldn't stand it. More than 200 miles, when in good condition, is not a big deal for professionals. A group of level 10 professionals can run without blushing or panting. But most of them were tortured by the teleportation array. The black uniforms of the sword-holding division did not allow the team leader to restore their condition. They could only run wildly with dizziness and nausea. Some people even vomited all the way. There were also a few young wizards among them. The endurance attribute of the wizard is a shortcoming. Although the attribute cannot determine the strength of willpower, those wizards have just changed their jobs for a few days, so how can they withstand such torture? Ah, I can't do it anymore. Whoever wants to run, run. In the crowd, Xu Jin almost vomited up the overnight meal, and groaned as he slowed down. The lackeys beside him hurried over to help him. A smart lackey looked around and saw Chu Ran and Qi Wenxuan at a glance. Chu Ran ran neither fast nor slow, neither too outstanding nor completely behind, and his performance was very mediocre. Because his abyss gaze feature detected that there was a large-scale surveillance skill staring at them, probably screening potential new professionals. Chu Ran didn't want to be in the limelight, and ran forward side by side with Qi Wenxuan, basically paddling and fishing. Xu Jin's lackey shouted, "Chu Ran, Qi Wenxuan, you two come over and help brother Xu." Qi Wenxuan turned his head and couldn't help laughing. "Oh, isn't this Xu Jin? I haven't seen him for a few days. Is he so lame?" At this moment, Xu Jin looked pale and could hardly stand steadily. He was cheated by Brother Bai before, which delayed his leveling time. He is only level 8 now. He hasn't even reached level 10 yet, and his endurance attribute is seriously below standard. He almost fell to the ground when he passed through the interprovincial portal. "Qi Wenxuan, how the hell are you talking?" Xu Jin's lackeys cursed. "Come here, carry brother Xu on your back." Although Qi Wenxuan is tall and strong, they might have given him some leeway before, but now that everyone is a professional, they are not afraid at all. "It's so unlucky, I met these stinking shits again." Qi Wenxuan spitted and continued to run forward, ignoring those lackeys. Chu Ran didn't even turn his head back, and stopped to wait for Qi Wenxuan for a while. When he saw him catch up, he said, "Wenxuan, we have to speed up. The first group of people are probably about to reach Tianmen City. If we go too late, we won't have food to eat, and it may also affect the impression score of the assessment." "Yes, yes, yes, let's go." Qi Wenxuan nodded and immediately quickened his pace. When Chu Ran said this, he did not avoid others at all. The students in the same echelon heard that it might affect the impression of the assessment, so they gritted their teeth and ran forward with all their strength. Xu Jin and a few lackeys were immediately left behind. Seeing this, the lackeys quickly shook off Xu Jin and chased after the main group. Being a lackey is one thing, and affecting your own future is another. You wait for me." Xu Jin was dumbfounded, panting and chasing forward, and he started foaming at the mouth after running a few steps. About 2 hours later, all the students arrived at Tianmen City one after another. Chu Ran and Qi Wenxuan were considered to be of middle-class level and arrived 40 minutes ago. Qi Wenxuan was because he majored in defense before, and his strength attribute was not too high. And Chu Ran was just paddling. This is Tianmen City. It's really spectacular. Chu Ran looked at the towering city wall in front of him, and the dark wall was covered with various scars. Several black uniforms from the sword-holding division stood at the city gate. Scarface stood with his hands behind his back, his eyes full of scrutiny. He waited until everyone was present before he said, "Your quality is very average." Many people at the scene showed expressions of dissatisfaction, especially those first batch of students who ran to the foot of Tiananmen City. Seeing that they were dissatisfied, Scarface said coldly, "Do you feel dissatisfied? Do you think your level is just too low? As long as the level is raised, and you complete the first, second, and third turns, you will become stronger and stronger." "You are totally wrong," Scarface said directly. "Real high-level abyss creatures, even if they are level 0, are not something you rookies can deal with." One sentence. It calmed down many enthusiastic newbies. Especially the term high-level abyss creatures. They have heard of it. Abyss creatures of course also have levels. It's not just a simple level. It's more like a difference in status. A truly advanced abyss creature, even if it's of a low level, can cause considerable trouble. They are basically intelligent and more cunning than humans. After the scarred face scolded, he said directly, "You guys, divide into groups of 100 people on the spot, and then form small teams. You have 3 minutes to get it done. In 3 minutes, set off for the small battlefield." A huge noise immediately broke out in the crowd. Even the leading teachers were a little shocked. Isn't this too fast? A group of students have not had time to rest, and they are going to the small battlefield. The senior professionals of Haicheng who were watching all this from afar in the air did not dare to say anything. Even Lin Lan shut up at this moment. Who dares to offend the sword master? Unless you don't want to live. 2 minutes left. Scarface had no intention of stopping the chaotic square formation, but said coldly, "On the front battlefield, time is life. The faster you move, you may be able to change the situation. 3 minutes to form a team, I'm waiting for you. On the real front line, would you ask the abyss creatures to wait for you for 3 minutes? 3 seconds. No, a delay of 1 second will make you be torn to pieces." Scarface suddenly roared, and the ground under his feet cracked inch by inch, and the terrifying pressure made the students in the front row stagger. The scene was instantly quiet. Chu Ran was also startled by this shout, and subconsciously looked at Scarface. Activated the skill Abyss Gaze. Sun Tianren. Profession. Class A. Nightmare Swordsman 5th turn. Level 178. Level 178. Top Professional. Chu Ran looked at the information that passed by and said secretly, "No wonder he is so annoying. His main attribute is over 4 digits, right?" Scar-faced Sun Tianren didn't know that his information had been seen through, and he was still shouting angrily, "1 more minute." No one dared to delay this time. The large square formation was immediately divided into countless small teams, and the students from various schools were deliberately dispersed. Chu Ran and Qi Wenxuan were not assigned together. The 100-man group was divided into small teams again. Finally, Chu Ran formed a team with a group of strangers and walked towards the small battlefield under the leadership of the sword-wielding officer in black uniform. Although the small battlefield has been cleaned, there will be many dangers. The sword-wielding officer in black uniform had a very cold tone. After a reminder, he no longer revealed any meaningful information. Chu Ran glanced at his nervous teammates and thought, there should be some important people watching the fun by now, right? He could feel that they were still being monitored by some kind of skill. Chu Ran must have thought, we still have to slack off. Tiananmen City. In a certain hall, many light screens floated in the air, showing the scene of the collective trial. There are many small battlefields in Tiananmen City, which can accommodate new students from dozens of cities to take the trial at the same time. The admissions officers of various colleges sat in the hall, and their eyes occasionally switched between several light screens. This light screen is a large-scale exploration skill, enough to cover every student who came to participate in the trial. There are no surprises in Haicheng and Baicheng. The quality is indeed relatively low. The total number of people who pass the first level is less than 2,000. After all, they are small cities. Baicheng is better. Haicheng's ranking is basically the bottom, right? Didn't a magician from Haicheng get recruited into Donghua College 3 years ago? What's his name? Lin? I don't remember, he should be a relative. A group of admissions officers occasionally chatted, but their eyes were always fixed on the light screen, and sometimes switched to the picture they were interested in. The team of Haicheng did not attract much attention. The feeling of being monitored faded slowly, but it didn't disappear completely. I think he just took a look and stopped paying attention to this side. Chu Ran used the alertness brought by Abyss Gaze to judge the situation. At the same time, he also became curious. Although this large-scale exploration skill cannot directly view information, it can also be regarded as a kind of exploration. Abyss Gaze can completely isolate exploration skills. What would the picture look like if he and others appeared under the same large-scale exploration skill? A group of people, mixed with a group of mosaics. Thinking of this, Chu Ran couldn't help but shudder. That's too abstract, isn't it? And that way, it will be more eye-catching. If everyone else is normal, only I am a group of mosaics. It's hard not to notice. Not that, it shouldn't be. Chu Ran shook his head, thinking that this skill shouldn't be so abstract. At this time, the black uniforms following their 100-man group said, "Your trial site has arrived." Trial site has arrived. Everyone stopped and looked around. The teams that were just divided, step out of line. Your mission is very simple. The black uniform pointed to a half-abandoned, dilapidated city wall not far away, 1/3 of which had collapsed. He said directly, "Use all the methods you can think of to repair the city wall and hold this position for 1 hour." Someone raised his hand and asked, "Since we have to hold the position, does it mean that there will be hostile forces attacking us? Is it the instructor of the sword-holding division who plays this role, or is it the real abyss creatures that attack?" This question is also of concern to many students. There will also be monsters refreshed in the small battlefield, at least they are all abyss creatures around level 40. A group of newbies fighting with their heads. If they encounter the monsters here, they are not qualified to be sent up as snacks. So they all expect the black uniform to tell them that the hostile forces are played by the sword-holding division. What a pity, the black uniform said coldly. The sword-holding division has no time to play this kind of game with you. The hostile forces are of course the abyss monsters. The abyss monsters here all start at level 40. Aren't we waiting to die? The sword-holding division is taking human lives lightly. Let us go home. I want to go home. Many students with less courage collapsed directly. Some of the brave ones also turned pale. Chu Ran also frowned slightly and thought to himself, although there have always been casualty indicators in collective trials, there is also a limit. Once something goes wrong on the front battlefield, it will lead to the mass death of new professionals, and it will definitely cause a big incident. What is the sword-holding division thinking? Chu Ran didn't quite understand. This top professional army of Dragon Country can't be crazy, right? The black uniform allowed these students to vent their dissatisfaction and make a lot of noise, and just said coldly, "This is Tianmen City, the front line facing the threat of the abyss. If you stand here, you must be mentally prepared to die. Of course, in order to take care of you newcomers, the Sword Master has already swept this place in advance, and killed all monsters above level 40. You will only face abyss creatures of level 40 at most. And I remind you again. Your task is to repair the city wall and hold your position for at least 1 hour, not to fight with abyss creatures. Use your brains, idiots." After speaking, he raised his head and glanced. The figures of several high-level professionals appeared and disappeared. He said directly, "If anyone can't hold on, just signal loudly, and someone will come to rescue you. As for whether you can be rescued, it depends on your luck. This is just the first trial, and your performance will be recorded in detail. Now, follow the divisions and disperse your actions." After speaking, the black uniform left a group of confused students and left directly. What should we do now? Everyone looked at each other. What else can we do? Let's get to work. Some people with more flexible minds immediately said, "The instructor of the sword division has made it very clear. Our mission is to repair the city wall and hold our position for 1 hour. I guess the missions of other 100-man teams are similar. The front line of Tianmen City has a history of more than 150 years. There are many similar facilities. As long as we can repair the city wall, we can definitely stop the level 40 abyss creatures." The black uniforms just gave a very clear hint. Their mission is to repair the city wall and survive for 1 hour. The key to these two tasks must be to repair the city wall. Chu Ran nodded silently. With so many people in Haicheng, there will always be a few smart people, so he felt more at ease to slack off. It's easy to say, but how to do it specifically? A girl rubbed her arms and whispered, "Besides, why is it getting cold around here?" Before she finished speaking, someone found that a layer of frost condensed on the ground around them. The cold fog spread, and visibility decreased rapidly. It was almost impossible to see the city wall clearly. Is there a monster? It's fog, that fog. Hit it, hit it. Hundreds of newbies were panicked. In a hurry, several combat professions made random moves and threw skills into the fog. Several rays of light flashed in the fog. It reflected a huge shadow, which scared many newbies to scream. Seeing this, Chu Ran looked over directly. A message popped up. Ice Prison Demon, LV40. At his current level, he could see the information of the creatures in the fog. Moreover, he was not afraid of the 40-level abyss creatures. But he was also a little surprised. Didn't we agree to repair the city wall first? The 40-level monsters came so quickly. Is the Sword Master messing with people's mentality? Chu Ran quickly found a status under the information of the Ice Prison Demon. Disabled. 95% loss of health, all attributes decreased. It turned out to be a low-health monster. Seeing this, Chu Ran understood that this was to train the courage of the newbies. The low-health monsters have low desire to attack, and the newbies can't break the defense, and can't even pull the hatred. As long as you are brave enough, you can just walk over and it's fine. After discovering this, Chu Ran immediately reminded his teammates, "This monster seems to be disabled, don't attack, just go around it." When the other newbies heard it, it seemed to be true. So, everyone bravely bypassed the road and went to the city wall. He was relieved when he found that the Ice Hell Demon had no intention of leaving the cold fog. Chu Ran was also relieved. He almost threw Abyss Annihilation at it just now. If he hadn't suddenly felt something was wrong and looked carefully, the courage training monster prepared by the Sword Master would have exploded in an instant. Wouldn't that expose the fact that he was awesome? It's so hard. Chu Ran climbed up the broken city wall and sighed silently, it's too hard to just paddle. Maintaining the city wall is not a complicated job. The sword-holding division would not let a group of newbies do work beyond their capabilities. The ready-made materials are piled up around the city wall. As long as the strength attribute is more than 15 points, it can be moved freely without any effort. There are traces of formations on the city wall, which were carved in advance by the formation master. As long as you pile the materials on it honestly, it can be activated. This is like a jigsaw puzzle game, there is no difficulty. It is a task to exercise courage. Chu Ran also moved some materials and slowly discovered a lot of tricks. The sword-holding division will not arrange tasks that will definitely kill them. From the beginning to now, only a level 40 residual blood monster has appeared, which is simply to scare them. Many newbies present have discovered this and gradually stopped being nervous. Some people bravely climbed to the highest point of the city wall and looked into the distance. Is that the frontline battlefield? I wonder when we can go and see it. If you want to go to the front line, you must at least be a third-level professional to have a chance. That will take a few more years. Several people started chatting. Don't be a jerk, hurry up and move the bricks. Without the protection of the city wall, how can we last for an hour? Someone shouted a few times in dissatisfaction. Those who were chatting were embarrassed. With so many professionals, even if they were newbies, they quickly moved the materials for the city wall, and a half-new and half-old city wall was built. The formation was activated instantly. A huge semicircular light curtain enveloped their heads. Being covered by the light curtain, a group of newbies finally felt safe. The next step is to hold on for an hour. This formation should be fine, right? Someone wiped the sweat from his forehead and said with some doubt. It's a matter of life and death, so we have to be cautious. Who knows whether the broken formation left by the Sword Master is reliable? Moreover, what if some terrifying abyss monster smashes the formation with a slap? After all, this is the front line, and all kinds of situations may happen, and no one can predict. But many people are not so nervous. We are here for a collective trial, not to fight on the front line. There will be no problems here, don't worry. Indeed, we are all newbies around level 10. If something goes wrong in Tianmen City, the Sword Master will definitely be held accountable. Isn't the monster just now scary? It turned out to be a low-health monster, which shows that the Sword Master dare not let us play for real. Don't be so nervous. After the city wall was repaired, many people slacked off. Some brave ones even wandered around in the abandoned stronghold. Brother, let's go and take a look too. As time went on, more and more people left the city wall, and several of Chu Ran's teammates invited him. It's a rare opportunity to come to the front line, and these little newbies are very excited. If you can walk around, you will have something to brag about in the future. I won't go, you guys can have fun. Chu Ran shook his head and refused. Then he pondered for a moment and advised, you'd better not wander around. Although the surrounding area has been cleaned up by the sword-holding division, there is no guarantee that there will be no abyss monsters wandering around. Moreover, our task is to hold on for 1 hour, which should not be so easy to complete. It's not that Chu Ran is too cautious. The main thing is that the black uniform of the sword-holding division made it very clear. Repair the city wall and hold on for 1 hour. This is the assessment content for all of them. The repair work of the city wall took less than half an hour to complete. The rest is to hold the position. Now that the formation is activated, they are protected by the light curtain. Is the next task to brag and go shopping? It's definitely impossible. If it's really that easy, just call it a collective outing, why call it a collective trial? Chu Ran estimated that after the formation is activated, the big job arranged by the sword-holding division will appear. However, the few people who were assigned to the same team as Chu Ran did not listen. Brother, you are too timid. We have the formation to protect us. What are you afraid of? A new warrior laughed and shook his head and left. The rest of them followed. Chu Ran didn't remind him again. It was hard to persuade the ghost. If he hadn't been assigned to the same team, he wouldn't even bother to give that advice. Soon, only some life professions with little combat power or timid auxiliary professions were left on the wall. The combat professions basically went to visit the surroundings. Chu Ran leaned against the wall and studied his skills. Come to think of it, I haven't tried the effect of the skill Abyss Kingship after the first transformation. The character Deterrence evolved into the Abyss Kingship, which comes with a special effect of controlling the creatures of the abyss. I don't know if it works well. It's just right to try it on that low-health monster. Chu Ran did it as he thought, and soon looked at the cold fog. The low-health ice hell demon wandered in the depths of the cold fog, and its huge body appeared and disappeared from time to time. Chu Ran stared at the huge phantom and activated the Abyss Kingship. A silent force penetrated the cold fog. It froze the ice hell demon's body. It was already in a low-health state, and was weakened by the Abyss Kingship. The ice hell demon let out a low wail and almost couldn't stand. Abyss Kingship. Effect 1. All abyss creatures with a lower status than you will be greatly weakened. Effect 2. Start shocking elite and above abyss units, conduct mental judgment, and enslave them. Shock effective. Mental judgment effective. When Chu Ran saw a series of prompts, he suddenly had a special feeling, as if he could make the ice prison demon do anything as long as he thought about it. Even if he asked it to commit suicide on the spot, it was estimated that the ice prison demon would not resist. Moreover, Chu Ran could feel a mental fluctuation that was conveying information to him, mixed with a bit of fear. It's the mental fluctuation of the ice prison demon. Does it mean it's surrendered? Chu Ran didn't know what it was saying, so he tried to issue an order, leave this place. The next second, the cold fog suddenly drifted away, and the ice prison demon began to move. It works. Chu Ran was delighted, and then said, run faster, haven't you eaten yet? Boom boom boom. The ice prison demon in the depths of the cold fog did not hesitate, and immediately took a step and started running wildly. In midair, the black uniformed man who was responsible for protecting the 100-man group was dumbfounded. What happened to this low-health ice hell demon? Why did it run away? Did it go berserk? Forget it, it's just to train the courage of these students, just kill it directly. He was confused and was about to go over and kill the ice hell demon in 1 second. Just then, a purple energy missile suddenly flew out from behind him. The speed was extremely fast. With a bang, the deep purple fireworks exploded in the air, and the strong wind swept across the field. The formation shield also shook. The purple energy fireworks are obviously a skill with great lethality. The loud noise in the air startled many people. In particular, the light curtain of the formation began to shake, and many newbies were shocked. When they looked up, the whole sky seemed to have turned dark purple under the purple light. Chu Ran was also shocked, because he saw the black uniform with smoke all over his body falling from the air, and he didn't know whether he was dead or alive. The members of the sword-holding division are basically high-level professionals of the third turn. Most of them are around level 100. The black uniform was killed on the spot, which means that the person who took action would not be lower than this level. What you fear will come true. Am I the one who is the crow's mouth? Chu Ran cursed inwardly, and then he saw several black-robed figures flying in the sky, fighting with the black uniforms who came after hearing the sound. Earth Spirit Society, you are so brave. Dare to come to Tianmen City to act wild. A group of black uniforms flew through the air. One of them held a giant sword and directly chopped out a streak of fire. Several black-robed figures stopped immediately. A purple magic circle lit up behind them, and countless energy bombs shot out. Boom! A terrible wave exploded in the air, and the black-robed figure holding a giant sword flew backwards. A black-robed figure laughed strangely. Tianmen City is bolder than us. They dare to let new professionals from all over the country come here for trials before suppressing the abyss. Aren't they afraid of something going wrong and being backlashed? With such a big excitement, of course we have to join in. Then leave your life. Several black-robed figures attacked again. The two sides fought in the air, and the fight was getting farther and farther away. The Earth Spirit Society is the Abyss sect. Why would a madman from the Abyss sect come to make trouble? It's over, are we going to die? The newbies in the base had never seen such a posture, and they trembled under the crumbling light curtain. Can our trial continue? Someone asked worriedly. The people around him looked at him like a fool. It's already this late, and you're still thinking about your trial. Save your life first. The Abyss sect is a group of lunatics who have surrendered to the Abyss. They often capture people for blood sacrifices and draw the Abyss to come. Every time they cause a big mess, they will cause immeasurable casualties. 5 years ago, a small city was killed by hundreds of thousands of people because of the Abyss sect's monster rampage. All professionals gnashed their teeth when they mentioned these traitors, but the threat of these lunatics should not be underestimated. How could the Abyss sect appear in Tianmen City? Didn't the sword master receive the news in advance? Chu Ran followed the people who were gradually going away, frowned and said, I always feel that something is wrong. It's strange that the trial site was chosen in Tianmen City this time, and now even the Abyss sect has come to interfere. The next second, Chu Ran reacted suddenly. Is someone fishing? Use these newly awakened newbies to bait the nest, and prepare for a big play. After all, Tianmen town suppresses the entrance to the 20th layer of the Abyss. If something happens here, it is equivalent to opening the door to the advanced Abyss. New professionals awakened from all over the country flocked to Tianmen City, and the sword-holding division must assign people to follow and protect them. That means that the defense force of Tianmen City is extremely empty. If the Abyss sect wants to make trouble, it will definitely not miss this opportunity. And Tianmen City can also use this to ambush the Abyss sect. Fishing. Crazy fishing. There are gambling dogs and fishermen behind this who are making plans. It's bad. We have become bait. The more Chu Ran thought about it, the more reasonable it was. The collective trial of newcomers across the country was suddenly set on the front battlefield, and the people of the Abyss sect jumped out to make trouble so coincidentally. If this is not fishing, what is it? Your own mother is fishing more and more. Who is so smart to come up with this idea? All the dragons and phoenixes recognize you as their big brother. Thinking through the whole story, Chu Ran wanted to catch the person who made the plan behind the scenes and beat him up. Isn't this putting these new professionals on the fire? Just then, a terrifying shock came from a distance. The whole city wall shook with it. What's going on? Earthquake. A group of newbies almost couldn't stand still and were extremely panicked. Someone stuck his head out and looked into the distance, and was shocked. It's the Abyss beast tide. Everyone looked over and their faces turned pale. So many. There must be thousands of them. Can this formation withstand it? Dead, dead, I'm going to die. I'm still a virgin. Various screams were heard. Facing the huge black mass of monsters, these newbies who were only level 10 were scared to pee their pants. Chu Ran's face was also black. This must be the work of the Abyss sect. However, the other party took the trouble to attract so many monsters, it should not be to target these rookies. Tianmen City. Chu Ran turned his head and looked at the huge city wall looming in the distance of the plain, and whispered, "Want to break Tianmen City directly? Such a big deal. If Tianmen City is broken and the entrance to the abyss is unsealed, this place will probably become a purgatory on Earth. I have passive damage reduction, so I can survive, but others will definitely not survive. Wen Xuan will die too." Chu Ran's expression was complicated. Mainly in this situation, even if he stopped pretending and showed his hand, he couldn't turn the tide. He was only level 39, and it had just been a short time since he turned. The lunatics of the Earth Spirit Society were basically above level 120, and even the black uniforms of the Sword Masters were not sure to win, so what was the point of his attack? Just when Chu Ran hesitated, the group of monsters had already rushed to their stronghold. Boom, boom, boom. A series of collisions came from all around the city wall. The array protection formed by the light curtain kept flickering, rippling like water waves. The semicircular shield that originally emitted a milky white halo had turned dark yellow under the continuous collisions, and it looked like it would die at any time. The tremor of the ground spread to the stronghold, scaring the group of newbies into shrinking into a circle, and they didn't dare to look out. They were afraid that the defensive array would be broken in the next second. Fortunately, the group of abyss monsters collided for a while and found that this road could not be broken, so they took a detour. Their target is indeed Tianmen City. Thousands of abyss monsters flew away, and it would take less than 5 minutes to reach Tianmen City. In addition, the unlucky people encountered along the way would probably be fed by the monsters. Chu Ran made up his mind, took out the fish scale mask and put it on his face, took off his coat directly, and changed it into a universal equipment in the shape of leather armor with one click. He took out the chicken leg stick and jumped off the city wall. It may be a bit lame for me to fight the Abyss sect, but I am an expert in fighting monsters. Monster groups are nothing. The passive damage reduction is here, and I will go into the monster pile. Who can break my defense? I am the god of war of the human race, and I must help the scene. Fortune is sought in danger, do it. In the hall of Tianmen City, the admissions officers of various universities who were responsible for monitoring the light curtains were also panicked. No one had warned them in advance about this sudden change. There is an Abyss sect attacking the students. The men from the Sword Division are here. Not good. The Sword-holding division doesn't have enough manpower and is in decline. Why is there still a tide of beasts? The target is Tianmen City. A group of admissions officers stared at the light screen, dizzy. Realizing that the situation was gradually going wrong, some people couldn't sit still and said in a deep voice, "Hurry up and ask for help from your own school. Through the teleportation array, support will come soon." This sentence reminded everyone. They are all preparing to ask for help from their own schools. If something like this happens during a collective trial for new professionals, if it is not handled properly, it will be a major event that shocks the whole country. Not to mention that Tianmen City has a special status and suppresses the entrance to the abyss on the 20th floor. If the entrance to the abyss is unlocked, all of them will just wait for the banquet to begin. Everyone used their own methods and began to ask the school for help. I hope the school will send people to support. But right now, a group of black uniforms broke into the hall. A mage raised his hand to release the Forbidden Demon Realm and controlled all the admissions officers. Sword holder, are you crazy? An admissions officer from Donghua University said solemnly, the Abyss sect is attacking, and you actually turn against your own people. Sorry, the man in black uniform headed by the sword holder said coldly, this is the intention of the God of War Palace. No one can alert the enemy today. Ares Mansion. Everyone was shocked. The two highest powers in the Dragon Kingdom war system. God of War Mansion, God of Law Association. The former is responsible for coordinating all top troops, including the sword-holding division, all of which are under the jurisdiction of the God of War Mansion. The Dharma God Guild is responsible for opening up the major abyss and is the strongest guild. The two major forces specialize in directing the direction of war and controlling the strong. Hearing that it was the order from the God of War Palace, the admissions officer from another university couldn't believe it. Even the God of War Palace can't joke with the lives of so many students. If you want to attract the Abyss sect, you can use other methods. Let us go and let the school join the fight. It will also be a help. A bunch of admissions officers were going crazy. However, the group in black uniforms turned a deaf ear and took over the hall. Several mages went to maintain the operation of the monitoring skills and stared at the situation in the light curtain. But at that moment of conflict, no one noticed that a figure wearing a fish scale mask jumped off the city wall in the corner of the light curtain and slipped away. How's the situation? The earth spirits took the bait. Just as we thought, they triggered a tide of beasts to attack Tianmen City. It's an old trick. These wastes from the Earth Spirit Society are just small fishes. Keep waiting. Don't act rashly before those big sects take action. The captain in black uniform stood in front of the light curtain and talked with several mages. A mage in black uniform said, "The attack route of the beast tide will affect at least several thousand students." "What should I do?" He asked the captain what he meant. The captain in black uniform's eyes flashed, and then he spoke calmly. "Try to save some, but our mission is to defend Tianmen City. If the city is not broken, we don't need to worry about anything else." The mage who asked the question hesitated. The captain in black uniform shouted sternly, "Obey the order." Seeing his attitude, no one will come out to cause trouble again. This plan was one that the God of War Mansion prepared for a year before deciding to implement it. And the real goal is not just to fight against the Abyss sect, but to catch a big fish. Many abyssal sects have taken more and more actions in recent years. The God of War Mansion suspects that another top-level abyssal creature has arrived. That kind of creature with blood that can give humans the power of the abyss is the source of all trouble. When a creature that calls itself a god descends from the abyss into reality, its strength will be greatly reduced and it will require a large-scale blood sacrifice to maintain its existence. The God of War Mansion uses Tianmen City as bait and uses all the new professionals in the country as hooks to fish out the abyssal creature hidden behind the scenes. As for possible sacrifices, that is not considered. The harm that a top-level abyssal creature can cause cannot be measured by the sacrifice of tens or hundreds of thousands. The order given to the sword holder is to ensure that the plan goes smoothly at all costs. The so-called no matter what the cost, including the garrison professionals who sacrificed everything, as well as the newcomers. The admissions officer of Donghua Academy noticed the change in the atmosphere, and his face turned pale. "Are you crazy? If all these students die here, the God of War Palace will never take the blame. Can the sword holder be able to shoulder this responsibility? This isn't something you should worry about," the captain in black uniform said coldly. "Things can still be discussed. Your troops may not be able to stop the Abyss sect. Let us ask for help. Someone tried to persuade me." Faced with the cruel situation that may occur, these professionals who came from universities really cannot bear it. "Don't think too much." The captain in black uniform looked around them and finally explained, "This time the God of War Mansion has laid out a comprehensive plan. The 4 sword holders are ambushing Tianmen City. If things cannot be done, there is a God of War who will take action." "Did the God of War's mansion send all the 4 sword holders here?" "That's the top level 7 expert. A God of War was also sent." Everyone was shocked. The title of God of War is not something that can be obtained casually. You must complete the 8th turn and have a top hidden profession in the warrior system to be able to obtain the title of God of War from the God of War Mansion. Such professionals are rare in the entire Dragon Country. Because the next level is the legendary professional of the 9th turn. The God of War Mansion is really willing to spend a lot of money. Not only did it summon the 4 sword masters who guarded various places, but it also sent a God of War to take charge. But this kind of scene, it did not make the admissions officers of various colleges feel at ease. Instead, it made them feel more terrified. There is such a force ambushed here. What means will the Abyss sect use? A large-scale beast-tide attack, evil magic slaughter city blood sacrifice, or to trigger the Abyss to run wild. Recalling the methods of those lunatics, many people took a breath and dared not think about it. "Captain, there is a situation." Suddenly, the mage staring at the light screen in the corner said, "It seems that someone is chasing the beast tide." The captain in black uniform walked over and looked at the picture in the light screen. A figure wearing black universal leather armor, a fish scale mask, and holding a chicken leg stick was running fast. It seemed that he was about to catch up with the beast tide in front. "Who is this?" The accompanying teacher, The captain in black uniform had a sharp eye and saw that the attributes of the person in the picture were not low, and the strength was at least around 200. This is definitely not an attribute that a newbie can have. No, the accompanying teachers have been controlled by us and locked up with those high-level professionals of the local guild. The mage replied. After saying this, the person in the picture was only a few hundred meters away from the beast tide. It seemed that they were about to catch up. Captain. The mage staring at the light screen asked, "This should be a passerby professional, should we send someone to drive him away? Letting him chase the beast tide will cause a chain reaction, which will be terrible." Having said that, the mage still wanted to save this passerby. It is hard to say how strong the person is who dares to attack the abyss beast tide at this time, but at least he is brave enough and is a good seedling. It would be a pity if he died like this. If he is rescued and trained, he can be absorbed into the sword-holding division. The captain in black uniform stared at the light screen for a few seconds, his eyes cold. In an emergency, don't make trouble. If he wants to die, let him go. After that, he no longer paid attention to the light screen. Although the mage who made the suggestion was regretful, he did not dare to change the captain's mind. The top professional troops of Dragon Country are not as brave as a passerby. What an irony! The admissions officer of Dongwa Academy cursed angrily, saying, "You are worthy of being called the sword-holding division. Using swords to kill your own people." The captain in black uniform had a blank expression on his face, and looked like he was going to swallow his pride. At this point, it was meaningless to talk nonsense. Even if the plan succeeded, the sword-holding division would take the blame and bear all the infamy for the God of War mansion. "It's all for Dragon Country," the captain said silently in his heart. Abyss Mad Beast LV 45. Abyss Giant Python LV 52. Abyss Subdragon LV 60. Abyss. Chu Ran caught up with the madly running beast tide, and with a glance, the information of the monsters came into his eyes, so dense that he had no time to read it carefully. The lowest level is over 40, and the highest can reach 60 or 70. There are probably thousands of them here. Chu Ran held the chicken stick, his brain working fast. How to stop them? Use the deterrent effect of the Abyss Kingship. No, I'm leaving the small battlefield now. This is the territory of Tianmen City, not the Abyss Realm, and the CD-free feature cannot be used. There is no way to stack them, and it won't have much effect. Chu Ran kept chasing, frowning secretly. There is a very critical prerequisite for releasing skills with no CD and no consumption. That is, it can only take effect in the Abyss Realm. The leveling areas and small battlefields that have been swept away all belong to the Abyss Realm, but they have been conquered by humans. But Tianmen Town suppresses the entrance to the 20th floor of the Abyss, mainly to resist the invasion of the Abyss, and a large area is not considered the Abyss Realm. The grip of the Abyss makes too much noise. It will be bad if we can't kill all the monsters with one slap. The lethality of the Abyss annihilation is not bad, but the actual effect needs to be tried in person. If it doesn't work, I can only rely on the passive damage reduction to chop them one by one. And Tianmen City is one of the 4 major cities after all. It can definitely intercept these monsters at the city gate. I will kill them slowly from behind. Chu Ran didn't think too long. It only took a few seconds for him to make up his mind, speed up his pace, and insert into the beast tide from behind. The chicken leg club was swung, and 2 clubs were smashed down. He knocked over a level 40 beast on the spot, and then stomped on its head. Seeing the experience, Chu Ran immediately looked for the next target. With his current attributes, to deal with these monsters around level 40 and 50, it is basically a matter of 3 or 4 swords. Chu Ran, LV 39. Profession: Abyss Messenger, First Transformation. Strength: 296 plus 30. Spirit: 241 plus 1. Endurance: 277 plus 1. Defense: 356 90% damage reduction from Abyss. Luck: Infinity -1. Remaining attribute points: 0. In the past 2 days, he has upgraded his level to 39, and the attribute points are evenly distributed. With the attribute improvement after the job change, his strength attribute has reached 296. Counting the bonus of the chicken leg stick, it is stable to break 300, which is basically comparable to the second transformation professional. It is really easy to kill these monsters at a higher level. If it weren't for the fact that he was not in the range of the abyss, the passive without CD would be temporarily invalid. As long as the crushing characteristics of the chicken leg stick are combined with the weakening of the abyss kingship, the two will grow while the other will grow. Every strike will be a critical hit, and it is no problem to kill one with one stick. But now his speed of killing monsters is also impressive. After entering from the back of the beast tide, he smashed around with a clang, and had already knocked down 5 monsters. Ding! Chu Ran's body was shining with the light of upgrading. Level 40. You have learned a new skill. Passive. Abyss Feast. Dedicate everything to the King of the Abyss. Effect. Devour the Abyss bloodline to gain more attribute points. Conversion rate 100, 1. Current bloodline points 0. Another passive. Chu Ran glanced at the skill description. Abyss Feast. Devour bloodline to gain attribute points. It seems to be another god level passive. A passive that can brush attribute points. I am afraid even those legendary professionals who have reached the 9th level will be jealous. Because the attribute points that everyone can gain are fixed. Only 1 point is available for each level. Except for powerful professions that will have higher growth when upgrading and changing jobs. Other means of adding attributes are almost equivalent to nothing, 1 attribute point per level, and SSS level hidden professions have no privileges. If there is a skill that can brush attribute points, it can only be said to be against the sky. The ratio of blood points to attribute points is 100 to 1. Isn't this encouraging me to kill monsters? Misunderstood. I'm not the god of war of the human race, I'm the ancestor of the abyss. Chu Ran sighed, swung his stick and knocked a monster that tried to sneak attack him to the ground. Bang bang, 2 hits. Get 0.01 attribute points. Seeing this prompt, Chu Ran was speechless. What is this? Pinshishi red envelope. 0.01, when can I get 100 points? Wait until I get 99. Don't give me blood fragments, 10 fragments combined into 0.01. While complaining, Chu Ran was slashing monsters frantically. Fortunately, what he was worried about did not happen. The blood points provided by these monsters basically fluctuate between 0.01 and 0.05. Most of them are around level 45. It seems to be related to strength and level. Kill a big one and see. Chu Ran figured out this pattern and immediately set his sights on a big guy. Abyss Demon LV-75. It was a giant monster that was several stories tall, covered in black hair, and had 4 fangs in its mouth. A level 75 monster. More than 30 levels higher than himself. There's no need to worry about the CD now. Chu Ran knocked over several monsters that blocked the way, stared at the Abyss Demon, and directly activated the deterrent effect of the Abyss Kingship. All Abyss creatures with a lower status than himself will be weakened. So far, this skill has never failed. Ang! Fear immediately emerged in the huge eyes of the Abyss Demon. It screamed and began to tread restlessly. Thousands of Abyss monsters, the smallest of which was 3 or 4 meters tall. The Abyss Demon Elephant was considered a big guy in the beast tide. It suddenly stopped and stood still. Many monsters had no time to avoid it and fell into its huge body one after another. Some unlucky ones were directly trampled into meat paste by the Abyss Demon Elephant. This change immediately disturbed the Abyss Beast Tide, and it began to tear in half with the Abyss Demon Elephant as the boundary. At least 1 or 2,000 monsters stopped. Chu Ran didn't expect that he would have such an unexpected surprise when he attacked the Abyss Demon Elephant. He didn't hesitate immediately, staring at the huge body, and threw an Abyss Annihilation at it. Ang! The Abyss Demon Elephant screamed, and most of its body became bloody on the spot. Blood spurted out like a waterfall, and it staggered to the side and fell. The surrounding Abyss monsters fled frantically. The sudden fall of such a behemoth was a disaster for the smaller monsters. Boom! The bloody Abyss Demon fell to the ground, like a collapsed building lying on the plain. Killed in seconds, Chu Ran looked at the experience reward, and before he could react, a light of upgrade appeared on his body. A level 75 monster, with a level up reward plus a tenfold judgment, the experience was maxed out directly, rushing to level 41. Sure enough, I still have to kill monsters of higher levels. It's a pity that this is not the Abyss realm, and the skills can't be released infinitely. The CD of the Abyss Kingship is not long, but the cooldown of the Abyss Annihilation is a bit touching. It takes about 1 minute to release it once. Chu Ran enjoyed a wave of experience and felt that the income and expenditure were balanced. However, the attack power of the Abyss Annihilation did give him some surprises. A level 75 elite monster like the Abyss Demon is famous for its defense. Even if it is weakened, it is not that it can be killed in seconds, especially without the critical hit bonus of the chicken leg stick. It is indeed a bit exaggerated to rely on the damage of the Abyss Annihilation itself to kill it in seconds. Obtained 0.9 blood points. 0.9 blood points. It seems that it really depends on the monster's level and strength. The stronger the Abyss monster, the more blood points it brings me. It doesn't seem too slow to exchange one attribute point for more than 100 Abyss demons. Chu Ran said silently in his heart. After all, he is only level 41 now, and he can easily kill this level 75 elite monster. As his level gets higher and higher, plus the passive bonus of the Abyss field without CD, it is still very easy to get blood points. It's a pity that there are not many high-level elite monsters in this batch of beasts. Most of them are rotten fish and shrimps, and they can't get many blood points. Chu Ran shook his head and felt that he was a little floating. High-level elite monsters are not to be said to be hard to come by, but they are not easy to encounter. These past few days have been too smooth, and my horizons have expanded a little. Quickly calming down, Chu Ran continued to chase and kill those Abyss monsters with a chicken leg and a big stick. Because of the sudden death of the Abyss Demon, more than half of the monsters were scared and ran around, and they were basically no longer a threat. Chu Ran killed a group of them casually, and then continued to chase the beasts running towards Tianmen City. At the same time, several black-robed men who were fighting with the sword master in the distance seemed to sense something. One of them screamed, "The beasts are out of control, what's going on? Isn't the fighting power of the sword master restrained by us? Are there other top professionals taking action? This is one of the 4 major cities of Dragon Country. It's not normal for top professionals to take action. Dare to meddle in our business. Call someone." A black-robed man released a purple magic bullet directly into the sky. Boom! The magic bullet exploded and turned into a ferocious beast head firework. That is the symbol of the Earth Spirit Society, a blood creature from the Abyss. Behind every Abyss sect, there are creatures from the Abyss that give them power. The Earth Spirit Society is not the most powerful. Some people who have obtained the top Abyss blood will immediately have the power of a 5th-level top professional. The reason why the Abyss sect is so crazy and acts without scruples is mainly because their power comes too easily, almost like picking it up for free. And the sudden request for help from these black-robed men also made the black-uniformed sword-wielding officers on the opposite side frown. What's going on? Is there a change? A black-uniformed man whispered. Is there a problem with the plan? Not sure. The companion shook his head and said, "Act according to the plan first, don't make trouble, try to delay these people, don't let them get suspicious." Several people exchanged glances and immediately understood each other's ideas, and rushed towards the black-robed men of the Earth Spirit Society. The black-robed men of the Earth Spirit Society screamed and threw out various skills full of the breath of the Abyss, and the two sides clashed again. However, the huge animal head firework still conveyed the message. In the hall of Tianmen City, many people have gathered in front of the light curtain. Even the admissions officers who were controlled stared at the light curtain without blinking. How did he do it? I don't know, I didn't see it clearly. There was no sign of attack, and he killed the level 75 Abyss Demon instantly. Who is this guy? A top-level professional with a 5th job came here to play dumb and eat the tiger. It doesn't seem possible. Didn't he just level up? There is no experience decay, which proves that he should be around level 40. What's going on? Several admissions officers stared at the picture on the screen, dumbfounded. The figure wearing the fish scale mask was far away, and he killed the elite monster like the Abyss Demon with just one look. This move can be said to have instantly solved half of the beast tide. Apart from anything else, to kill the Abyss Demon instantly, he must be at least a 5th-turn professional, right? Captain, can you do it? A black uniformed mage couldn't help but look at his captain. Professionals who can be captains in the sword division all start at 5th turn. The captain's face twitched, and he looked at the mage who asked the question expressionlessly, thinking whether I can do it or not. Don't you know it in your mind? He can definitely kill a level 75 monster instantly. But he has to do it at such a long distance. Even if the mage or archer reaches 5th turn, he can't kill the abyss demon without leaving any trace. He should be a hidden profession above S level. The admissions officer of Dongwa Academy's eyes lit up, full of desire, and said excitedly, he needs 2 or 3 moves to kill those level 40 to 50 monsters, and only the abyss demon elephant was killed by him instantly. What does this mean? It means he used a skill. The discussion in the hall suddenly fell silent. Everyone looked at the admissions officer from Dongwa University and thought, aren't you talking nonsense? Who doesn't know that this mysterious man must be a hidden professional of S level or above? Who doesn't know that he used a skill? Ahem, I mean, he used a very powerful skill, and it was released through his gaze. The admissions officer of Dongwa University also realized that he had said nonsense. After shaking his head slightly embarrassed, he continued, did you notice? When he was killing the monsters in the abyss, he kept staring at those big guys. Quote, on the battlefield, it is the most basic quality to watch all directions and listen to all directions, and always pay attention to the surrounding situation. The captain in black uniform said coldly, he can do this, which shows that he has at least received training from some universities. Cultivation, what's so amazing about it? As long as the profession is not too rubbish and is somewhat useful, after the collective trial, they can be trained by various schools and learn these experiences. In today's era, relevant knowledge on the battlefield is almost equal to everyone's skills. However, the admissions officer of Dongwa University sneered and said disdainfully, you know nothing. He is not observing the situation at all, but looking for prey. Looking for prey. Several people in black uniforms showed surprised expressions and quickly looked at the movements of the mysterious professional in the picture. It seems like this is really the case. The other admissions officer suddenly widened his eyes. He comes from Yuqing Academy. It has a similar status to Dongwa University. They are both the top universities in the Dragon Kingdom. The two families are still old enemies. I felt something was wrong just now. Ever since the Abyss Demon Elephant, he has been consciously looking for high-level monsters to hunt. The admissions officer of Yuqing Academy said excitedly, this is a step-by-step process. I guess he doesn't know how powerful his skills are. I dare to conclude that this guy is a newly awakened student. Only top professionals who have just awakened can such characteristics. The admissions officers from the 2 top universities said this, and the people at the scene immediately found some doubts. For example, the mysterious professional in the picture does not have much tactical literacy, and he often even operates without caring about his head. This is not like the performance of a senior professional. His attack power aside, isn't his defense ridiculously high? A sword-wielding shield fighter couldn't help but said, I'm already level 120, and I don't dare to fully bear the attacks of these monsters like him. This guy looks more like a front rower than me, he shouldn't be a top player in the defensive system, right? He was quite envious and said, plunging headlong into the beast tide without any dodge or defense at all. Except for the top professions in the defense system, there is probably no other profession that can do this. The admissions officer of Yuqing Academy frowned and said, it is impossible for a top profession with a defensive system to have such offensive performance. The admissions officer from Dongwa University agreed with his old rival. The skill he used to instantly kill the Abyss Demon Elephant is a taboo skill that can only be mastered after 5 rounds of visual inspection. At around level 40, he has a combat power of 150. How can it be defensive? System. People from several other universities also started discussing it. The professionals in the sword-holding department are all experts in combat, but they are definitely not as good as these academics in terms of many theoretical insights. He was immediately struck speechless. Stop arguing. But at this moment, the captain in black uniform suddenly roared angrily, pointed at the light screen and said, no matter what profession he is in, he is dead. What? A group of admissions officers hurriedly looked at the light curtain. On the huge arc-shaped light screen, several figures in black robes flew quickly past. Their target is obviously the location of the beast tide. Is he from the Earth Spirit Society? An admissions officer was surprised. They actually still have some energy left. How on earth do your sword-wielding departments do things? The captain in black uniform was silent. If the god of War Mansion wants to fish, the sword holder will certainly not immediately use all his strength to deal with the Earth Spirit Society. The current situation was deliberately created by them. Those men in black robes were the fish that slipped through the net. 1 top level 5 professional, 2 level 4 professionals. The admissions officer of Yuching Academy said with blazing eyes, "They are going to find out the reason why the beast tide is out of control." "Oh no!" he shouted to the captain in black uniform, "Hurry up and send someone to rescue. If such a good seedling is given to our Yuching Academy to train, he will definitely become the new god of war." The captain in black uniform moved slightly, and also felt a little shaken. He was obviously thinking whether it was worth it for a genius with great potential to have flaws in his plan. "Why the hell are you still standing there?" the admissions officer of Donghua University said angrily. "If you don't save me, I will. I will personally ask the school for help. This is a top hidden profession. At least it is an SS-level genius. Let me if you send the news back to the academy, we will definitely be able to invite a rank 8 expert. You don't need to take action." After roaring angrily, he stared at the captain in black uniform and almost begged, "If you are not willing to save others, at least save one genius. That is the seed of the human race." The expression of the captain in black uniform changed and he said, "Sorry, no one can ruin the plan. That's the responsibility." Everyone fell silent. His face was filled with disbelief. After a few seconds of silence, the admissions officer of Donghua University was so angry that he went crazy. "Oh my god. How did the sword-holding division fall to this point? When those heroes established the sword-holding division 150 years ago, they swore to hold swords for the human race and expel Abyss. I didn't ask you to be the lackeys of the god of war. Coward, you don't deserve this outfit. If you have the ability, kill me too. Otherwise, I will definitely tell the master of the palace about this matter. Don't you, the sword-wielding department, even think about covering the lid of the god of war palace. Don't even think about it." Anger at these admissions officers. The captain in black uniform paid no attention to it, but looked at the figure fighting with the beast tide with regret. "It's just my fault, you are unlucky." His expression gradually became firm, and he turned to several mages and said, "Watch this group of people, and no more accidents can happen." Several mages were silent for a while and nodded in agreement. Bang! The head of an abyss beast was smashed and it fell at Chu Ran's feet. The light of upgrade lit up on him again. Chu Ran, who was working hard to kill monsters, didn't know that somewhere in Tianmen City, a group of people had a quarrel because of him. Because he was going crazy. The experience of at least 100 abyss monsters has been recorded, and the level has jumped like a rocket. Now it has reached level 47. This leveling speed made Chu Ran's mouth twisted under the mask, and he secretly said, "Keep cutting, and you will reach level 60 today to start the second level mission." "I'm scared of this efficiency." He thought so in his heart, but Chu Ran didn't just kill monsters, he was more focused on breaking up the monster tide. Specially selecting the big ones to kill. After some screening, this group of abyssal beasts no longer poses much of a threat. He was not prepared to directly reach level 60, as that would be going too far. With the passive ability of 10 times the experience, you can level up at any time. It's not a good thing to really wipe out the beast tide. Chu Ran knows how to keep a low profile. Seeing that there are only a few hundred beasts left in the beast tide ahead, they will not cause any harm to the strongholds along the way, let alone endanger Tianmen City. Stop it and leave. Nodding with satisfaction, Chu Ran stopped and was about to leave. A sharp voice sounded above the head. "You ruined our big event. You are so arrogant." Chapter 31. Senior Professional. Chu Ran frowned when he found someone floating above him. The next second, he received a reminder. Directional detection skill detected. Abyss gazing judgment takes effect, exempted. This prompt made Chu Ran react, and he threw back an abyss gaze with his backhand. Zhou Long. Occupation. Abyss Demon, a level 5th turn. Level 162. Seeing these messages, Chu Ran turned around and ran away without any hesitation. Top Professional, or a lunatic from the Abyss sect. "I can't beat you, there's nothing I can do about it, run." Why can't I see this guy's information? Does he have a way to hide his attributes? I have an advanced detection technique. How can a kid like this get the immunity skill? In midair, Zhou Long, who was wearing a black robe, was also confused. He just subconsciously threw away the detection skill, wanting to see what profession could deal with the beast tide. As a result, no information was found at all, leaving him scratching his head. But in such a moment of confusion, the boy ran away. I have offended the Earth Spirit Society and still want to leave. Zhou Long smiled cruelly, but did not catch up immediately. He flew over slowly and sneered, Jia Jia Jia. Boy, I think you are also a talent. Why not join us and accept the gift of the abyss? Oh, leave it alone, boss. I still have things to do at home. Let's talk some other time. Chu ran very fast without looking back. I am already a villain in my profession, how can I be better off if I join this kind of cult again? What's more, this guy looks like a pervert at first glance, and only a fool would believe that he is sincerely soliciting. Just forget about the ghost wearing a black robe. Who is a good person who is always jealous? Is this laughter from the underworld? How many great elders of the Soul Palace are there in one meal? I don't know how to praise. Zhou Long's face sank, and he held his palms in vain. Purple light spurted out, turning into countless purple fires. The roar spread instantly, fell from the sky, and directly enveloped Chu Ran. Holy shit, this is going to kill people. Chu Ran was startled, feeling the hot breath behind him, and he didn't dare to look back. Although Chu Ran had known for a long time that his passive ability to master the abyss could make him an abyss ancestor, but he would not have the advantage of overpowering professionals. However, he did not expect that this would be his first official battle with a professional. He's a level 5 boss with over 160 levels. Die, die, die. No matter how fast his legs flew, they couldn't move faster than the sea of fire spreading from behind. 1 second later, Chu Ran's figure was swallowed up by the flames, covering an area of several hundred meters. The raging fire soared into the sky and set the monster corpses on fire together. The fire was very fast. Zhou Long laughed ferociously and fell to the ground. That's it, I thought he was a top professional, but he seems to be a human genius. It's a pity that you met me before you could grow up. Zhou Long looked proud. What he likes most is to kill the newbies of the human race, especially those geniuses with more advanced professions. One is ebbing and the other is ebbing. Sooner or later the abyss will occupy the entire blue star. Elder Zhou, have the people who disturbed the beast tide been dealt with? A few seconds later, 2 other professionals from the Earth Spirit Society also arrived at the scene. When they saw the sea of fire and Zhou Long with a ferocious smile on his face, they immediately understood something. As expected of Elder Zhou, he killed another top professional from the human race. The gods will definitely send rewards, congratulations. The 2 of them quickly surrounded Zhou Long and showered him with flattery. Zhou Long nodded reservedly and enjoyed it for a while before raising his hand to interrupt and said, the information is wrong. He is either a top professional or a newbie. He should be a hidden profession. I killed him. He's actually a genius seed from the human race. That's even greater credit. Otherwise, Elder Zhou is the mainstay of our Earth Spirit Society. The 2 of them flattered each other wildly. Okay, it's almost done. Zhou Long coughed and said calmly, others are still restraining the sword-wielding division's combat effectiveness. We are pressed for time. How is the formation arrangement going? One of them said, the layout has been completed, and the entire plane will soon turn into a temporary abyss. When the infinite summoned beasts invade, Tianmen City will be destroyed today. Jia Jia Jia, it looks like we can start another grand blood sacrifice to please the gods. Zhou Long laughed a few times and said, remember to bring tens of thousands of new professionals with you. What the gods like most is new flesh and blood. Elder Zhou, don't worry. Nothing can go wrong. The 2 men in black robes said quickly. Zhou Long nodded slightly and said calmly, after the formation is set up, we still have to lead the beast tide, let's go. Just when he turned around, the sea of fire behind him suddenly burst into flames. A figure jumped out, with burning purple flames everywhere. Chu Ran patted himself, with a strange look on his face, why isn't this fire hot? Elder Zhou, the 2 men in black robes were stunned. They all looked at Zhou Long. Didn't you say that this cute newbie was killed? Why are you still jumping around? Zhou Long turned his face and his expression darkened. Why didn't he burn to death? Could it be that he wanted to play tricks on his prey and subconsciously held back? I see. But at this moment, Chu Ran extinguished the purple fire on his body, showing an expression of sudden enlightenment. So the power of you people of the Abyss sect comes from the Abyss. Zhou Long's face was as gloomy as water, and he said coldly, "Boy, now you know the benefits and want to join us. Isn't it too late? Moreover, do you think that everyone is qualified to receive the grace of the gods?" "That's right," a black-robed man echoed. "Only by pleasing the gods can you get this powerful power and become a follower of the gods. Every believer who has accepted the blood of the gods is a high-level and elite. Do you think any rotten fish and shrimp can get this gift?" He was full of pride, and he was obviously the lucky one who had received the gift. Chu Ran looked at Zhou Long, looked at the black-robed man who was talking, and then looked at the third black-robed man, and asked, "So the three of you are all high-level people, and have received that gift?" "That's natural." The black-robed man was full of pride. "Wait, why are you still chatting?" Zhou Long frowned and said, "What can you talk about with a low-level professional? The formation that releases the breath of the abyss has been activated. The temporary abyss can only last for 1 hour. Don't waste time, kill him." "Yes." The two black-robed men nodded and walked towards Chu Ran. The two of them were equivalent to 4th-level professionals, and killing a novice was easy. Chu Ran blinked and said, "Your power comes from the abyss, and you have transformed this place into a temporary abyss. Boy, it's too late to be afraid now. Elder Zhou is the boss. You can suffer less if you die obediently." The black-robed man on the left had a grim smile on his face. The black-robed man on the right raised his palm, and the deep purple light turned into a spear. He laughed strangely and said, "You can also run 400 meters first." Chu Ran stood still. He looked at the information that was refreshed when he was hurt just now. Abyss proxy judgment effective. Immune to 90% of abyss damage. And all skills that enter the no CD, no consumption state. Chu Ran clenched the chicken leg stick in his hand and muttered, "Is there such a good thing?" After that, Chu Ran swung the stick. Abyss kingship, activated. Crushing characteristics, activated. Weakening buff is applied. One side gains, the other side loses. The black-robed man with a grin on the left didn't expect that the little newbie would dare to fight back. Just as he was about to kill him, he found that he couldn't use any strength at all. His legs were like lead, and he could only watch with horror as the stick hit him head-on. Bang! His head hit directly into the cavity. Then, Chu Ran and the black-robed man holding a spear looked at each other sideways. Chu Ran. The black-robed man. Chu Ran. "Oh, it's bad, how about you run 400 meters first?" The newbie, who was supposed to be able to do whatever he wanted, hit his companion's head into his chest. Such a contrast. It was definitely no less than the goddess who had taken so much effort to lick, but after taking off her skirt, she was found to be bigger than himself. Something's wrong with you. Zhou Long was also shocked by this scene. It was okay that his skills couldn't kill this newbie in seconds, but the subordinate who was killed was equivalent to a 120-level professional. How could he be killed instantly? Where did he get such a high attack power? Are you done talking? Then I'm going to do it. Chu Ran laughed twice, activated the crushing feature again, and kicked the black-robed man with a spear in the chest. After being weakened by the Abyss Kingship, this guy's attributes were probably lowered by about 80% to 90%, much lower than himself. More than 300 points of strength added to the crushing feature, and kicked him directly into a cannonball, and he flew out with a bang. Bang bang bang. Like a stone skipping on water, it bounced on the ground for more than 10 times, smashing out a series of smoke and dust. After the momentum slowed down, his whole body was broken and twisted beyond human form. He died on the spot. Obtained 30 blood points. Obtained 27 blood points. 2 prompts appeared. Chu Ran played a stick flower and said happily, "Your bloodline is quite pure." Killing 2 high-level members of the Abyss sect is equivalent to the blood points provided by dozens of Abyss demon elephants. This bloodline is indeed too pure. Now the Zhou Long in front of Chu Ran is no longer a 5-turn boss, but a moving blood point. 100 blood points for 1 attribute point. The 2 wastes just now provided nearly 60 blood points. This Zhou Long is still an elder, so he must be more valuable. It's not too much to count him as having 80 blood points, right? Killing an elder is equivalent to 1 attribute point. Killing 100 elders is equivalent to changing my job once. Chu Ran counted on his fingers. Good fellow, the Abyss sect is not a traitor at all. This is clearly a living bodhisattva who sacrifices himself for others. You friends, I have made friends with my ancestors of the Abyss. Come on, let me hit you with a stick. Chu Ran gestured to Zhou Long with a chicken leg stick, and his expression gradually changed. Zhou Long felt a chill on his back, and said sternly, "Boy, don't be too arrogant. Do you think you can fight with this elder by killing two trash? You are almost there." He opened his hands, and the terrifying purple magic fire sprayed out, turning the surroundings into a sea of fire. Taboo. Earth Flame Funeral. The boundless flames formed a vortex storm, covering a space of several thousand meters. A sure kill that can only be released by a 5th-level professional. Taboo skills. The terrifying temperature was transmitted, and the strongholds within a radius of more than 20 miles were affected. Many newbies felt the rolling heat wave, a dry mouth, and even smelled the burnt smell of their own hair. Look over there. Purple flames. Could it be that a big guy is releasing a forbidden spell? What big guy? The color of this skill shows that he is a madman from the Abyss sect. That means a big guy from the sword-holding division is fighting with the Abyss sect. What a powerful force. With this flame temperature, we will probably be evaporated if we get close to it. Many newbies stared with wide eyes, looking at the purple flame vortex rising into the sky, with shocked expressions. Someone else enviously said, "Only the strong men of the sword-holding division can participate in this kind of battle, right?" Everyone nodded in approval. As one of the top professional troops in Dragon Country, the sword-holding division still has some face. However, in the hall of Tianmen City, all the members of the sword-holding division in front of the light curtain were stunned. The purple light reflected on their faces, turning their faces purple. Someone opened his mouth wide, completely disregarding his image, and drooling. This is a student. After a few seconds, someone whispered. All the black uniforms of the sword-holding division had very complicated expressions. If the guy in the picture was a student, they would probably have to go back to school and be retrained. Anyway, they asked themselves, let them face 2 4th-level members of the Earth Spirit Association, 1 against 2, even if they could win, they would be in a difficult battle. But the mysterious professional in the picture killed one with a stick and kicked another to death. It was as easy as killing a chicken. No, killing a chicken is not that easy. Where did this little monster come from? The admissions officer of Donghua Academy also took a breath of cold air. In just a few minutes, the cold air he took made the hall warmer. The admissions officer of Yuqing Academy couldn't help but say, "We were all wrong, he is definitely not an SS-level professional. This genius is definitely an SSS-level professional." Looking around the world, there have been few truly top-level professionals in the past 200 years. Given time, he will definitely grow into a legendary professional. After saying this, his eyes were red. We must find him. The people who came to participate in the trial are from Haicheng and Baicheng, right? Even if we dig 3 feet into the ground in these 2 cities, we can never bury such a genius. He must enter Yuqing Academy. Yuqing Academy is a piece of shit. With his aggressiveness, he should come to our Donghua Academy for training. Don't fart here. Even dogs don't go to Donghua Academy. Both of them were unable to move, but they started to talk nonsense crazily, and finally even spit at each other. In the past, in order to compete for a few A-level talents, the admissions officers of the 2 universities might confront each other. If it was an S-level hidden profession, they would fight each other. Now this is a suspected 3S-level hidden profession. Not to mention spitting, even if they are controlled to pull their hair and kick their crotch, they must be ranked. Quiet, shut up. Suddenly, the captain of the black uniforms could no longer bear it. After a roar, he looked at the light screen with an uncertain expression. After a few seconds, he cleared his throat, turned his head and said, "Send a few people to support and send him to our sword division camp." The black uniforms of the sword division were all stunned when they heard this. They didn't react, but the admissions officers on the scene understood that this son of a fool wanted to intercept. "You are really like this." The admissions officer of Donghua Academy gave a thumbs up. Xiao Dao pulled his ass, "You have opened your eyes." Bah! The admissions officer of Yuqing College spat out a big sticky phlegm. "You refused to save people just now, and now you find that it is a top genius and want to come to intercept. It's really an eagle burping, you have eaten too much chicken. No matter how thick-skinned the captain of the black uniform is, his face turned black. However, he did not argue with these people, but whispered, "Hurry up." A group of black uniforms immediately prepared to call people. And in the light screen, Chu Ran was wearing purple fire and turned into a fireman. But he was unharmed, swinging a chicken leg stick and chasing Zhou Long all over the ground. "Run away, let me hit it twice. 2-level reversal, you offended your father and you still want to run. Die." Zhou Long swore. He has tried his best. The key point is that the monster chasing him with a chicken leg and a big stick is completely unkillable. Not only was he unable to be beaten to death, the stick in his hand was extremely powerful. Zhou Long had no doubt that if he was hit, his head would also be punched into the cavity. Absolutely. So Zhou Long was extremely frustrated. He hadn't been this embarrassed for a long time. Ever since he became the elder of the Earth Spirit Society, he could play with any woman he liked, kill anyone's whole family if he didn't like her, and capture hundreds of people for blood sacrifices when he had nothing to do. His life was extremely nourishing. When have you ever felt this wronged? What kind of skill is this? It has weakened almost 90% of my power. Even the attributes attached to the equipment have been completely eliminated. The spiritual attributes of more than 3,000 were dropped to 300 for me. Is there such a perverted weakening skill in the world? The more Zhou Long thought about it, the more frightened he became. His attributes plummeted in all directions, and he couldn't even escape the attribute bonus brought by the equipment on his body. The strength attribute even dropped to 100, and his escape speed was extremely slow. If he hadn't hidden some awesome life-saving cards, Chu Ran would have caught up with him and knocked him to death. For example, the effect of the accessory he is currently activating can increase his speed, making him run very fast, and also has the effect of surrogate death with a 1-year cooldown. It is a diamond-level life-saving artifact he obtained in his early years. Just now, he relied on the effect of surrogate death to save him from being smashed to death by Chu Ran. "Old guy, don't run away if you have the guts." Chu Ran hung behind Zhou Long. Jia smiled strangely. Zhou Long's scalp went numb when he heard it. For the first time, he felt that this kind of laughter was really perverted. Who is such a good person to smile like that? You idiot wouldn't run. But he certainly had no intention of stopping. Instead, he ran faster. Chu Ran sneered, "Can you run?" Another shot of King of the Abyss was thrown away. According to Chu Ran's tests, if the skill Abyss Kingship is used once and for all, it will only have a superimposed weakening effect and will not cause any big scenes. Moreover, if the opponent's level is too much higher than your own, the effect will gradually decrease. Of course, no matter how much it decreases, as long as there is still a weakening effect, even Chu Ran with over 10,000 attributes can be reduced to single digits. Again, Zhou Long felt that he had become very weak and his attributes plummeted again. This time his strength attribute was cut directly to 30, which was 70% less than before. Let no one live anymore. No way to survive, right? Zhou Long almost cried. With 30 points of strength attribute, he can't run at all, and adding amplification is useless. Mengxin's attributes are all higher than him. Zhou Long's speed slowed down visibly to the naked eye. Jia, old man, you run away, why don't you run away? Chu Ran carried the stick and stepped over in 3 or 2 steps. Little villain, were you very arrogant just now? Recover. Zhou Long was numb. Which one of us is more like the villain? You are not a good person either. How dare you slander your father? Chu Ran snorted coldly and hit him with a stick. Today, you will have no way to go to heaven and no way to go to earth. You will die. Do you listen to this human talk? Zhou Long quickly took out his defensive items and activated a shield. But he was smashed to pieces on the spot. Fortunately, it was blocked this time. But the next second, Zhou Long reacted, wait. God. Yeah, I have flying skills, why do I have to run? The attributes have been reduced, but it's not like I can't use skills. Can this weakened attribute also attack IQ? Zhou Long was shocked and confused, thinking that he might have been mentally damaged. Then he quickly released his flying skills and immediately floated into the air. He lowered his head and saw Chu Ran stopped. He suddenly felt proud and said arrogantly, boy, you have too many evil tricks. Grandpa was killed today. You'd better pray that you don't get killed by me next time. If you encounter me, I will crush you to ashes. Chu Ran waved to him and said as if coaxing a child, come down and let's talk some more. Zhou Long sneered, do you think I'm a fool? If you have the ability, come forward. Chu Ran asked in a deep voice, can't you come down? Zhou Long laughed loudly and said, you little fool, are you at a loss? I can fly, come up here. Seeing Chu Ran's helpless look, Zhou Long felt that all the depression in his chest was gone. Cool, I gave you a chance, but you didn't want to be dignified. Chu Ran said, there are so many ways to die, but you chose the ugliest one. Pretend, I'm just staying here, what can you do to me? Although Zhou Long said this, he still flew a little higher cautiously. Who knew if this guy had any long-range attack methods? After flying to the safe height in his heart, Zhou Long breathed a sigh of relief, his voice shook, and he said arrogantly, kill me, come on, kill me if you can. Chu Ran picked at the fish scale mask and sighed, this is the first time I heard such a request. Isn't it cheap? After saying that, he raised his head and stared at Zhou Long. The left eye flashed with a deep purple light for an instant. Abyss annihilation. Boom. The triumphant Zhou Long was suddenly hit by a huge force, and hundreds of blood arrows exploded from all over his body. He didn't even let out a scream, and instantly exploded into flesh and blood fireworks. Wow, a lot of broken pieces fell down, and then most of the broken body hit the ground. Chu Ran walked over and found that this old man was indeed a strong man who was equal to the top 5 professional. He was still breathing. However, his mouth was full of blood foam, and he was breathing out but not in. Zhou Long saw Chu Ran coming over and immediately widened his eyes, as if he wanted to say something. Any last words? Chu Ran leaned over slightly and whispered, what are you talking about? I can't hear you. Zhou Long's throat made a gurgling sound, and he struggled to raise his broken arm. A pile of shiny props and equipment appeared at Chu Ran's feet. Save me, all for you. Chu Ran smiled when he saw those things, and his left eye flashed purple again. Bang! Zhou Long exploded into dust. Stupid. Chu Ran raised his hand and put those things into his backpack. If I kill you, won't the things be mine too? A gust of wind blew, rolling up the dust on the ground and blowing Zhou Long away on the spot. Bloodline points 91 obtained. Attribute points synthesized. 2 prompts appeared, and Chu Ran smiled with satisfaction. This trip was not in vain. He upgraded his level, refreshed his attributes, and got a lot of loot. This old immortal is the elder of the Abyss sect. The money he took out to buy his life should not be too bad, right? Go back and count it. Chu Ran thought so in his heart and was about to sneak away. 2 figures flew over. Little brother, stay. It was the 2 black uniforms of the sword-holding division. Chu Ran looked over and found that there was another acquaintance. The scarred captain who came to pick them up before, Sun Tianren. The 178 level 5th turn boss. Are you calling me? Chu Ran thought about it in his heart, then turned around and ran. Why are you running? We are the sword-holding division. Sun Tianren and the other black uniform were dumbfounded. Aren't you going to run and wait to be caught by you? Chu Ran complained in his heart when he heard the movement behind him. He is a member of the Abyss Ancestor, specializing in the power of the Abyss, but he cannot be awesome against ordinary professionals. Normally, if someone from the sword-holding division came to see him, Chu Ran might give him some face. After all, the opponent is a team of top professionals from the Dragon Kingdom. But he had just killed 3 powerful men from the Earth Spirit Society, and the sword holder was also involved in fishing activities, so his position was questionable, so Chu Ran didn't want to deal with them. God knows what these people are looking for. Seeing that Chu Ran had run so far away, Sun Tianren was speechless. This kid must be too vigilant. The man in black uniform next to him said, what should I do? Do you want to chase me? Sun Tianren hesitated and said, I don't know. Old Wu, who is responsible for controlling the admissions officers, asked us to come here to find this kid. He also told us not to hurt him and to be polite. Who knows the specific reason? The 2 of them received news from their colleagues in Tianmen City, asking them to come over and find a professional who was dressed like a thief, but they didn't elaborate on why, they just said they would take the person to the sword-holding division camp. Go, don't hurt the other person. Now that the person has escaped, Sun Tianren is also confused. There are still big things happening on his side. Forget it. It's probably Lao Wu's relatives who asked us for help. But judging from this kid's ability to escape, I guess nothing will happen. Another captain in black uniform shook his head and said, now that the plains have become a temporary abyss area, we must always be vigilant about the tide of beasts summoned by the earth spirits. Moreover, the real big sects have not taken action yet and have no time to do this. Quote, the two of them came from another battlefield and did not know what was happening here, nor did they see Chu Ran chasing an elder from the Earth Spirit Society with his explosive hammer. Otherwise, they would surely realize what their colleagues meant by the message. But Sun Tianren nodded when he heard this. Yes, we still have serious things to do. Let's go back and give Lao Wu a message. His relative can run faster than a rabbit and will not die. Let's go. The two of them left without chasing Chu Ran. But don't know. In the hall, the captain in black uniform stared at the light screen and his face turned green. Why the hell did I invite you two idiots? These two people are the best. Your sword-wielding department is really full of talents. A cooked duck can fly. It's so funny that it's hard to live. Several admissions officers began to ridicule him mercilessly. It was already very uncomfortable for them to watch the sword-wielder cut off Hu. As a result, the sword-wielding secretary did not seize the opportunity and thought he was coming to help a related person. When he found out that the person was fine, he turned around and left. How many jobs should you get? Donghua Academy mocked. You are the only ones who still want to recruit such a genius. Where is your brain? Your brain doesn't work at all, right? The admissions officer of Yuqing Academy shook his head and said, fortunately, the swordmaster didn't succeed, otherwise, a top genius would have been ruined. The captain in black uniform looked livid, waved, called the team member who just delivered the message over, and said in a deep voice, what on earth did you say? The team member whispered, I just follow your instructions, Captain, and ask the available captain to take the person away to ensure safety and not to hurt him. You didn't tell them this was a top profession. The captain in black uniform asked through gritted teeth. Well, the team member said nothing. Go, go, go. The captain in black uniform waved his hand. Okay, your sword-wielding department doesn't have the resources to teach geniuses. Every year you recruit people from universities like ours. How do you want to get a porcelain job without the diamond? The admissions officer of Donghua University said directly, leave professional matters to professionals. In the worst case, send him to the God of War Mansion. The captain in black uniform said coldly, is the God of War Mansion inferior to your Donghua Academy? I'm too lazy to tell you. The admissions officer rolled his eyes. The God of War's mansion does have a lot of resources, and there are many powerful people, but that kind of place may not have the ability to cultivate geniuses. As everyone knows, universities are the best places to educate talents. Otherwise, why are there still a group of big families frantically trying to get places for people of the right age? It's not like burning too much money. Just then, there was an exclamation under the light curtain. Captain, the beast tide has started. There are 3 waves in the northeast. No, there are 5 beast waves. There's some here too. Same here. The members of the sword-holding department responsible for monitoring the light curtain suddenly issued reminders one after another. What scale? The captain in black uniform immediately walked over and looked around to observe. The scale is very large. I estimate it is at least tens of thousands. Wrong. A mage connected to the light curtain, as if he were on the scene, said with a pale face, this is a beast tide of more than 100,000. The captain in black uniform's face also darkened. He immediately said, pass the message and ask the sword holder to take action. The 4 sword wielders are the high-end combat power of the sword-holding division, and each one has rank 7 strength. He is a truly powerful person who exceeds level 200. The words have not yet finished. A figure holding a red sword appeared in the light curtain. Raise your hand. The fire covered 10,000 meters, and countless giant lava swords fell down, and thousands of monsters were instantly evaporated. It was the flame god sword master who took action. Everyone's spirits were lifted. Then, another woman in a long skirt flew out with a white sword. Countless lightsabers rolled into a huge vortex behind her, and fell towards another beast tide. Yao Guang's sword master. So strong. The two sword holders took action and immediately cut off the beast tide in two directions, fighting one against 10,000, showing terrible strength. Before the captain in black uniform could breathe a sigh of relief, something unexpected happened in the picture. A black spear, rolling with hot flames, flew towards the Flame God Sword Master in a spiral shape. The Flame God Sword Master immediately swung his sword to block, and visible ripples broke out in the air. With a loud bang, the ring-shaped air waves exploded layer by layer. Flame God, I'll play with you. Behind the spear, a figure in purple armor appeared, laughing wildly and rushed towards the Flame God Sword Master. It's the great envoy of the 9 gods. Did the 9 gods also take action? Seeing this person, the admissions staff present were almost crazy. The 9 gods sect, one of the top forces in the Abyss sect, is also full of powerful people. And the great envoys in the sect are all masters at the peak of the 7th turn, and they are qualified to challenge the 8th turn mission. The Flame God Sword Master immediately fell into a slump and was no match. It's okay, there is still the Yaoguang Sword Master. The captain in black uniform just finished this sentence. A strong enemy also appeared on the Yaoguang Sword Master's side. It was an old man wearing a black robe and holding a white bone staff. Yaoguang Sword Master, this place is forbidden. He waved his staff, and a huge monster exuding the breath of death appeared in the deep clouds in the sky. It was a highly rotten dragon head. The black breath sprayed out and instantly submerged the Yaoguang Sword Master. Undead Dragon, the mage of the Death God sect. This is not the end. There are many high-level professionals from various Abyss sects mixed in the Beast Tide, at least 3 turns. Seeing this, the admissions officer of Donghua Academy murmured, is this going to be a decisive battle? How can the Sword Master withstand such a battle? Quote, one after another, strong men from the Abyss sect appeared. Although it did not exceed the sword holder's expectations, it also made the situation feel a little out of control. Mainly, no one could have guessed that these top powerhouses of the Abyss sect would appear at such a time. Captain, the eastern camp has been lost. The southern camp can't hold on anymore. The number of beasts is too large, more exaggerated than we imagined, and there is a serious shortage of manpower. What should we do? As time goes by, the situation becomes worse and worse. A group of people in black uniforms quickly looked at the livid-faced captain. The other 2 sword holders will also take action. Don't worry, we are only responsible for monitoring the battlefield, other decisions are not ours. After the captain in black uniform said in a deep voice, his communication channel rang immediately. Communication from the highest level of the sword-holding division. His expression changed drastically, and he immediately opened it and looked at it, and found an order inside. Unlock all strongholds and forcibly recruit professionals above level 2 to participate in the battle, including team teachers and guild members who are participating in collective trials. Allow college admissions officers to ask for help. Tianmin City has entered the first level of war preparations. Members of the sword-holding department rushed to the frontline battlefield. Fight to the death. Orders were flashed in front of the captain in black uniform. He immediately understood how bad the current situation was and said in a deep voice, get ready. Let these people go. If they want to ask for help or do whatever they want, don't stop them. Everyone follow me. The captain in black uniform waved his hand and led the team members out of the hall. Once the forbidden magic realm is removed, all the admissions officers present have regained their mobility. Most people looked at each other, a little unresponsive. The admissions officer of Donghua Academy rubbed his neck and whispered, it seems that the situation of the battle has changed. The sword holder can no longer suppress the situation. The combat power of the Abyss sect this time is probably higher than what the sword holder expected. Even more powerful. After finishing speaking, he looked at the light screen. In the screen, the earth-shattering battle was still continuing. The detection skills they jointly used could no longer withstand the aftermath of the battle between those powerful men. A shaky look. The admissions officer of Yuqing Academy said directly, the sword master really can't handle it anymore, and he actually allowed us to ask for help from the academy. We were not allowed to alert the enemy before, but now it seems that nothing is more important than guarding the abyss of Tianmin City. After he finished speaking, he immediately opened the communication and asked for help from the school. At the same time, he said, we must act quickly. The genius is still hidden among the tens of thousands of people who came to the trial. We must find him as soon as possible. When several other admissions officers heard this, they suddenly remembered this matter and quickly asked for help from their own schools. Someone asked, "There are tens of thousands of students in this group. How do you want to find them?" The admissions officer of Yuching Academy said, "This top profession must have made some noise when it awakened. Moreover, judging from the way he just spawned monsters, this guy is not an honest master in the local area. It is too easy to find him. But that's it. Take out the information of the professionals who awakened during this time in Haicheng and Baicheng, compare them one by one, and then see which city has something unusual happening. It won't take long to locate him." Hear these words. The admissions officer from Donghua University gave a thumbs up and said, "You are still quite sinister, but what if you still can't find it? Then eat all these students." The admissions officer of Yuching University said confidently, "We have so many schools, can't we accommodate tens of thousands of students? Each person will be given a few thousand, and everyone will bet on luck, and it will be over if the meat rots in the pot." When everyone heard it, this was really the truth. It's good to find that genius. If you can't find it, eat all these students. You share a few thousand, and I share a few thousand. It's like drawing a card. Who can draw this one in the prize pool? The top SSS depends on everyone's luck. Let's do something. These admissions officers did not continue chatting. Now that the battle situation is changing every second, the most important thing is to call in reinforcements as soon as possible. On the small battlefield, all the strongholds that had been handed over to many newcomers for training were unsealed, and the protective formations above their heads were shattered. The sword holder is preparing to start a decisive battle with the Abyss sect. Of course, he will not waste any remaining energy on these strongholds, and even withdraws the energy supply of those formations. Many of the newcomers looked extremely panicked. Standing on the city wall, they could still see the billowing dust and smoke raised by the beast tide as it moved in the distance. "We're dead. The sword holder has given up on us." I don't know who shouted, and everyone's emotions collapsed instantly. At this time, a very small panic can cause an uproar. Run away. Run to Tianmen City. The only way to survive is in Tianmen City. Many cute newcomers jumped off the city wall and ran towards Tianmen City. Don't run. Don't go to Tianmen City. Now the beast tide and the strong men from the Abyss sect are attacking Tianmen City. It's even more dangerous there. If we stick to our position and stay in the stronghold, we will definitely get through it. A few relatively calm students wanted to maintain order. But those newbies who have lost their minds simply can't listen. Don't block the road. If you want to die, die yourself. Get away. Get away. Several newbies who were stopped completely collapsed and even turned into a fight. The two sides quickly got into a real fight. If it weren't for the fact that professionals around level 10 had little lethality, I'm afraid they would have been killed on the spot. Qi Wenxuan stood in the crowd, relying on his high defense attribute, and withstood the attacks of several professionals and caught them back. Run for your life, you'll die wherever you go in this situation. Who can contact the team leader now? It's best to gather everyone together. The farther we are from Tianmen City now, the safer we are. His loud voice, which spread for hundreds of meters, made many people's ears buzz. He managed to control the situation temporarily. A girl reacted and said, "I'm from Baicheng number 2 middle school, and the team leader is my aunt. Hurry up." Qi Wenxuan glanced at her. The girl immediately contacted her aunt, but within a few seconds, her face changed. "No, the sword-holding division has issued a forced call-up. All professionals above the second turn must participate in the war. Our team leader teacher has been called away. And what about the third turn high-level professionals of those guilds? The second turn has been called up, and you can still stay at the third turn. What should I do? Can I just wait to die? I'm vomiting. I know you're anxious, but don't worry. Let's think of a solution." Everyone started arguing. Qi Wenxuan was head-itched by the noise, and was about to shout to stop it, when he suddenly felt someone patting his back. Turning his head to look, he immediately said in surprise, "Ran Zi." Chu Ran raised his finger, "Shish." Then he pulled Qi Wenxuan to the corner. Chu Ran changed back into his clothes, pulled Qi Wenxuan to the corner of the city wall, and said, "What's going on? Why are you crying like a ghost here?" After he left the plane, he did not return to the team. Instead, He looked for several strongholds and finally found Qi Wenxuan. As a result, as soon as they climbed up the city wall, they heard these cute newbies crying and howling. If they opened their mouths or shut them up, they would be dead. Qi Wenxuan pointed to the endless dust smoke in the distance and said, "A wave of beasts passed by just now, and there are top professionals from the Abyss sect on the battlefield who are surrounding the sword-wielding department. The matter is too big and cannot be suppressed." Hearing this, Chu Ran nodded. He had expected this, but he didn't expect that the sword holder had the courage to fish, but he couldn't hold the fishing rod. This is the time to be dragged into the water to feed the fish. However, now that all the teachers in the team have been recruited to the battlefield, we can only rely on ourselves. Qi Wenxuan said in a deep voice, "You are of higher rank, so you can leave first. Just walk around. Those strong men are staring at Tianmen City and won't notice the small strongholds along the way. At most, they will attract a few waves of beasts or a few members of the Abyss sect." Chu Ran shook his head, and then initiated a transaction with Qi Wenxuan. "You take these things." He just picked 2 pieces of ungraded platinum equipment, which have good life-saving capabilities. They were all gifts from Zhou Long before his death. Qi Wenxuan's eyes widened when he saw the 2 pieces of ungraded platinum equipment. Where did these come from? Don't ask, asking is a gift from nature. Chu Ran patted Qi Wenxuan on the shoulder and said, "Take it, saving your life is better than anything else." Qi Wenxuan also knew that now was not the time to be polite, so he nodded silently, and then said, "Ranzi, what should we do? Otherwise, you led these people to break out, and we go to meet the large army." He looked at the newbies who were in a mess. Each stronghold has 100-man regiment. The strongholds are not far apart, but bringing these tens of thousands of people together is no small task. Chu Ran is now level 49, and his strength attribute exceeds 300. If he runs on 2 legs, he will not be able to gather the newbies in all the strongholds together until he dies. No, this is unrealistic. So Chu Ran immediately rejected the proposal and said, "The best way now is to stay in the stronghold and not wander around until the winner is decided in Tianmen City. Isn't it better to wait for death?" Qi Wenxuan was a little downcast. When the winner is decided in Tianmen City, it is better to put your life in the hands of others. He is more inclined to take action and stay as far away from Tianmen City as possible. "With your father here, can I still let you die?" Chu Ran explained, thought for a while, and said, "It is better to ask for help than to ask for yourself. Go call the people in the stronghold and ask them to contact their close classmates and friends. Everyone is scattered in various strongholds, spreading the word to 10, and the news will be passed on quickly. Then we can agree on a place to meet, and the rest depends on fate." Quote, "If you have a good life, those big guys are too lazy to pay attention to us, and there is no danger. If you have a bad life, you can only wait to be reincarnated." Chu Ran's words made Qi Wenxuan feel unlucky, but he still said excitedly, "This method is feasible, I will go and chat with them." He is a tall and powerful warrior who is very intimidating among the newcomers. Except for those who have run away, the rest are willing to listen to him. Qi Wenxuan first found the girl from Baicheng and asked her to contact her classmates and friends to give her a try. Others followed suit and began to contact people they knew. The circles of new professionals in the 2 cities are neither small nor large. The more than 100 people present can really cover a group of tens of thousands of people. As more and more people were contacted, everyone gradually relaxed and the atmosphere relaxed a lot. There is strength in numbers. If tens of thousands of them can get together to meet, they will be emboldened even if they have no actual fighting power, right? During this period, Chu Ran did not join in the fun, but stood on the city wall and observed the rushing beasts in the distance. At this time, the scale of the beast tide was even more astonishing than what he had just encountered. Just one share can amount to tens of thousands. Even if you have unlimited skills, you still have to work hard to kill them all. More importantly, there are still many masters of the Abyss sect hidden in the beast tide. According to Chu Ran's experience, masters of the Abyss sect above level 4 are actually no threat to themselves. Their power comes from the Abyss and they will be subject to passive immunity. As long as a confrontation does not kill them instantly, they can be tortured to death just by weakening the Abyss kingship. However, professionals below the 4th level of the Abyss religion seem to not have this gift. To put it bluntly, there are not enough cards to qualify for the power granted by the gods. If it were a normal high-level professional, it wouldn't take much effort to deal with such rotten fish and shrimps under the 4th rank. But Chu Ran was just the opposite. Before he had fully grown up, these level 90 professionals who did not have the blood of the abyss were actually a greater threat to him. The weaker ones are stronger, and the stronger ones are weaker, which really amused everyone. My current attack skills are Abyss Grip and Abyss Annihilation. Both can strike from a distance, but the movement of the grip of the abyss is too great, which may attract too many strong men to come and check it out. Then we can only use Abyss Annihilation to fly the kite. There are so many beasts. As long as I continue to steal experience, kill monsters by leapfrogging and gain tenfold bonuses, I will soon be able to overtake in corners. Wenxuan. Thinking of this, Chu Ran waved to Qi Wenxuan and said, "How is the contact going?" "We have contacted 80% of the students. We decided to go to the plane where the teleportation array is built. It is not close to Tianmen City, and if we catch up with the teleportation array before it is closed, we can go back directly." Qi Wenxuan said excitedly. Chu Ran did not comment on this. The cost of the interprovincial teleportation array was too high. It was impossible to maintain it for such a long time. It must have been closed immediately after sending them away. However, Chu Ran did not discourage Qi Wenxuan's enthusiasm and said, "I will give you a signal later, and you will take them with you. At that time, pay attention to my movements. Let's try to take a safe road." Chu Ran took out the fish scale mask and hinted Qi Wenxuan. Qi Wenxuan understood and whispered, "Ran Zi, you are not going to fight the beast tide head-on, right?" He also had some guesses about Chu Ran's profession. It feels like it should be a hidden profession that is very restrained against the abyss, otherwise it would be impossible to upgrade so quickly. Whatever you can get is good, it's all gifts from nature. Chu Ran laughed, waved his hand, and jumped off the wall. Quickly changing clothes and putting on the mask, Chu Ran didn't delay, and flew out like an arrow from a bow, heading straight for the beast tide. If you don't take what God gives you, you will suffer the consequences. Let's get to level 60 first. Follow me all. Don't fall behind. Those in front should run slower, be careful not to catch the beasts. More than 100 new recruits left the stronghold and hurried on the plains, when they heard Qi Wenxuan's loud voice rising from time to time, acting as a commander. "Brother, please lower your voice, I beg you," a young man dressed as a mage said with a look on his face. "With your voice, you are probably more likely to attract beasts than us, right?" Qi Wenxuan frowned and said, "Ah, no." Others looked at Qi Wenxuan one after another, thinking that this warrior was too incompetent. "Don't you know how loud your voice is?" However, Qi Wenxuan did not argue with them. He waved his hand and said, "Okay, then I'll say a few words and you guys should supervise each other so that no one falls behind and gets lost." Yeah. Don't worry, we are all supervising each other." Several newbies nodded like pecking rice. "As long as I can get this big brother to shut up, I'll do anything." Qi Wenxuan stopped saying anything. He secretly took a look at the endless dust and smoke in the distance. It was a wave of beasts. Although it was still far away from them, Qi Wenxuan knew that Chu Ran must have gone there to cause trouble by now. "You are so fierce. They say that wealth can only be found in danger. My buddy is putting his head on his belt. Isn't this going to make him rich suddenly?" Qi Wenxuan sighed in his heart. He also did not send a message to Chu Ran to inquire about the situation, so as not to distract Chu Ran. Anyway, according to the conclusion reached by the two of them, Chu Ran was responsible for leading the tide of beasts and trying not to let them pass this way. Qi Wenxuan took these newbies to the Great Plains to join others. The division of labor between the two parties is clear. Other side, Chu Ran is indeed leading the beast tide. But his method is very simple and crude. The Abyss Kingship was activated, and a large number of Abyss monsters were weakened as he glanced around. Then use the Abyss to annihilate the monsters. In an instant, dozens of monsters exploded into blood mist, which turned into experience and blood points. This kind of monster spawning is very efficient. But for a tide of tens of thousands of beasts, it still cannot play a critical role. Moreover, there were some professionals from the Abyss sect hidden in the beast tide. Chu Ran slowed down a little to avoid being noticed by those people that something was wrong. After a few minutes, Chu Ran killed about 100 monsters. The body lights up with an upgraded light. You learned a new skill. Wings of the Abyss. Flying skills. Seeing this skill, Chu Ran's eyes lit up. I really give you pillows when I feel sleepy. Flying skills are exactly my shortcomings now. With this skill, I can run away even if I can't fight. Thinking of this, Chu Ran immediately released the wings of the Abyss. Two shadows appeared behind him and quickly turned into huge wings made of obsidian, covered with golden lines. Handsome. Chu Ran nodded with satisfaction, flapped his wings, and immediately flew into the air. Observing the beast tide from the sky, you can see it more carefully. Even the hidden professionals of the Abyss sect can be seen clearly. Chu Ran tentatively threw an Abyss kingship at those professionals. Finding that it didn't have any effect further confirmed what I was thinking. These little Kurami whose cards are too low have not been blessed by the so-called gods and are not considered Abyss creatures. There is really no good way to take them by yourself, unless you summon the grip of the Abyss here and slap them all to death. It doesn't seem necessary. The Tianmen city side must be able to hold on. If the sword holder dares to fish, he can't really capsize, right? After I slapped you, I was exposed. Didn't I just get involved in it? Chu Ran touched his chin and decided not to meddle in other people's business. Being able to kill some beasts is already a help. After all, you can freely use your hands and feet to farm monsters. Killing hundreds of them in 1 minute is no problem. Clearing out this horde of monsters is just a matter of time. Now that he has the flying skill of Abyss wings, Chu Ran is much more courageous. Abyss kingship plus Abyss annihilation. Use a two-pronged approach to sweep away monsters in midair. He quickly killed thousands of them, and his level went up like crazy. This also attracted the attention of some Abyss sect professionals. Is there someone in the sky killing monsters? He is a high-level professional. Several members of the Abyss sect looked up and saw Chu Ran in midair. Brushing monsters in front of them, isn't this a slap in their face? Can they bear this injustice? Kill him. Several third-level professionals who had mastered flying skills immediately soared into the sky. When Chu Ran saw this, he flapped his wings, a sonic boom sounded all around, and he disappeared in the blink of an eye. The flying speed of the wings of the Abyss far exceeds the flying skills mastered by those level 3 professionals. Even if the other party wants to chase him, he can only do it from behind, and he can't even see the taillights of the car. Don't run away if you have the guts. Several professionals from the Abyss sect looked angry and ugly. Chu Ran ignored them at all, and no fool would run away. Now that we've been discovered here, we'll probably find another place to spawn monsters. So he activated the wings of the Abyss with all his strength and disappeared into the sky with a roar. At the same time, on the battlefield outside Tianmen City, the great envoy of the Nine Gods religion and the Flame God Sword Master have been fighting fiercely for a long time. The fight between such top professionals has caused the sky to shatter and the ground to break for dozens of miles. Although the Flame God Sword Master fell into decline, he still managed to hold on and was not completely defeated. The great envoy sneered. You are already dead, right? Surrender now and I can spare your life. Our gods like talents like you the most. If you throw yourself into the arms of the Abyss, you can get more powerful power. The Flame God Sword Master coughed up blood and struck the fire sword with his hand. I have nothing to say to people like you who cheat on me. I'll show you the real deal. Haha, you are stubborn. The great envoy thrust out a spear, and the space seemed to be exploded by him, creating a broken vacuum channel. The terrifying power destroys everything in its path. Many Abyss monsters that were unable to dodge were turned into flesh on the spot. The face of the Flame God Sword Master changed drastically, and he immediately released his skills. Countless huge lava swords flew out, forming a sword net, and collided with a roar. The next second, the sword net suddenly shattered. The Flame God Sword Master was knocked away on the spot. If you fall into the beast tide, you will not know whether you will live or die. The great envoy stood with a gun, his expression proud. This is the consequence of confronting the Abyss. Why don't you understand? It is inevitable that the Abyss will rule the world. No one can stop this process. The result of using the Mantis's arm to control the chariot is to be shattered into pieces. After saying that, he looked to the other side. The death mage who was fighting the Yaoguang Sword Master gradually gained an advantage. The two sword holders could no longer control the situation. The great envoy smiled coldly and immediately raised his spear high. Attack! Break Tianmen City! Tens of thousands of Abyss monsters roared. There are also many professionals from the Abyss sect who are screaming and excited. Break through Tianmen City today and liberate the 20th floor of the Abyss. They will be rewarded by the gods again and gain stronger power. Inside Tianmen City, a large number of professionals gathered together, with worried faces on their faces. Some of them are professionals from Tianmen City, and some are leading teachers from Haicheng and Baicheng. The sword holder is too overbearing, isn't it? What you committed yourself is now overturned and you want us to pay for it. Even the man holding the sword can't defeat the strong man outside. What role can we play? Are we going to die? Dissatisfied voices sounded one after another, venting his anger against those sword-wielding men in black uniforms. But it's no wonder they were annoyed. They were inexplicably controlled by the sword holder and imprisoned for a long time. Not long after, they were forcibly recruited to the battlefield and asked to participate in the battle to protect Tianmen City. Anyone else would feel a little unhappy, especially the guild members in Haicheng and Baicheng. They all have good backgrounds in the local area and rarely participate in such dangerous things. Now let them go to the battlefield, wouldn't it cost their lives? The sword holder must give us an explanation. Someone shouted. Okay, what explanation do you want? A sword-wielding captain said impatiently. The Abyss sect has already reached the city gate. Do you need me to find them to give you an explanation? Or are you going to ask the abyssal beast tide to give you an explanation? The sword-wielding captain's eyes were cold. He looked around at everyone present and said in a deep voice, the Abyss sect is the enemy of all our races. They want to break through Tianmen City and liberate the Abyss. Under this special situation, the sword-wielding captain have the power to recruit all available combat forces from all races to join the battle. If you want to explain, wait until you survive. Now listen to me, the top combat power of the Abyss sect has a sword-wielding division responsible for resisting it. You only need to block the tide of beasts for me. No matter what method you use, just don't let the large-scale beast tide come to the front battlefield. Quote. This is the beast tide branch map. If you understand, just take action and don't let me say it a second time. He passed the division map of the beast tide to all the professionals present, and said in a cold voice, also, this plan was formulated by the God of War Mansion. We still have a God of War powerhouse who has not yet taken action. Who wants to escape from the battle? Better think about the consequences. A war god level warrior. Actually, a god of war was sent here. Hearing this, everyone changed their colors. The people who shouted the loudest just now are now honest. The God of War's mansion is one of the highest powers in the Dragon Kingdom, and being able to send a God of War means that the God of War's mansion attaches great importance to this battle. If they dare to escape from the battlefield, they will wait to be settled by Chu Hu. What a bad luck. In the crowd, Lin Lan gritted his teeth and complained, in recent times, nothing has been satisfactory to me. Now I have to fight against the beast tide. What if something unexpected happens? Her voice was not loud, and only Jinglong standing next to her heard it. Jinglong whispered, if you have any complaints, let's talk about it back to Haicheng. Lin Lan snorted coldly. Why, am I right? My luck has been very bad during this period, and today I am completely unlucky. If I hadn't been drawn by lot, I wouldn't have suffered this fate. It's too late to talk about this now, let's get to work. Jinglong sighed. He looked at the branch map sent by the captain of the sword-holding division and said, choose a place to stop the beast tide. What are your ideas? Lin Lan frowned and said, whatever, find a place with less beast tides. We are only in level 3. Most of the beast tide monsters are level 40 to 80. There are too many and we can't handle them. She looked at the branch map and said, here, it's close to the Great Plains. There is no sword holder's camp. There shouldn't be too many monsters. Okay, let's go. Jinglong nodded. The two of them set off immediately. There are many other professionals who have the same idea as them. The scale of the beast tide near the Great Plains must be relatively small. After all, there is no stronghold of the sword-holding division there, and the Abyss sect cannot invest too much power. Therefore, many people chose that side at once. The men in black uniforms of the sword-holding division were not surprised. After all, These people were recruited temporarily and could not possibly have the consciousness to sacrifice their lives for righteousness. But as long as you are willing to contribute, it is a good thing. Just wait a little longer. The battle outside is not over yet. After the top professions decide the winner, we will start cleaning up the beast tide. The captain of the sword-holding division finished speaking in a deep voice, then turned and left. Immediately afterwards, he came to the position of the admissions officers and asked, "When will the support from the major universities arrive?" "The teleportation array is being set up, it will probably take about half an hour." The admissions officer of Donghua University said something. Others responded similarly. If the academy wants to quickly support Tianmen City, it also needs to build a teleportation array. The construction of an interprovincial teleportation array is not a simple matter. Not only is it expensive, but it also takes a lot of effort to build it temporarily. At least half an hour, it was the result of the best efforts of each university. The captain of the sword-holding department also knew that this was already the fastest speed, so he nodded and said, "Well, if the school's support can arrive in time, our chances of winning will be even greater." The admissions officer of Yuqing Academy mocked, "If we had known this, we should have asked for help just now. Now we think of asking the school for support. If we fail to catch up, who will be blamed? Besides, isn't the trump card of a war god very powerful among you four sword-bearers? Why hasn't the war god made a move yet?" He looked at the captain of the sword-holding department. The latter was silent for a few seconds, and then said, "The war god needs to keep an eye on a stronger enemy, which is likely to be an abyss creature. We didn't expect that the abyss sect would mobilize such a powerful force this time. Not only did the great envoys of the Nine God sect make a move, but even the Death God sect sent people to get involved. This is indeed our inconsideration. But it's meaningless to say this now. We must work together to get through this difficult time." The captain of the sword-holding department looked at the several admissions officers present and said in a deep voice, "Your help is very important to the situation, please." Several admissions officers did not continue to sneer. It's already this juncture, and it doesn't make much sense to mock the sword-holding department again. It's better to think about how to get through this level. By the way, what should we do with those students? The admissions officer of Donghua Academy suddenly asked, "You guys are so stupid, you definitely don't have time to take care of those students, are you just going to let them fend for themselves?" The captain of the sword division was stunned. Then he shook his head and said, "We can ensure that the beast tide will not affect the bases of those students, and most of the abyss sect professionals are coming to Tianmen City. They will hardly attack the newcomers along the way, and it is meaningless for them to deal with a group of students. Those students are basically safe." The captain of the sword division sounded confident. But the admissions officer of Donghua Academy frowned and said, "How can you be sure that those lunatics won't attack the students? Some of them like to kill the newbies the most. That's not on our radar." The captain of the sword-holding department spoke harshly and responded directly, "Now all parts of Tianmen City need manpower. We can't be distracted by taking care of those students." The admissions officer of Donghua University said solemnly, "But that's tens of thousands of new professionals. There are hundreds of thousands of residents in Tianmen City." The captain of the sword-holding department said angrily, "Besides, once the city is defeated and the abyss is liberated, the casualties will be immeasurable. If you want to save those students, apply to the school yourself and send your experts to rescue them. In other words, you can also go to the end in person and stop chirping here." After saying that, the captain turned and left. A group of admissions officers were left yelling in anger. However, the admissions officer of Yuqing Academy shook his head. He didn't say anything wrong. In this case, the sword-holding division must focus on the overall situation. If Tianmen City is breached and the abyss is liberated, the casualties will be at least calculating millions. No one dares to make such a decision for the sake of tens of thousands of students. "No, is there anything wrong with your mind?" The admissions officer of Donghua Academy couldn't help but said, "This is the plan made by the sword holder himself. I didn't agree with the trial in Tianmen City from the beginning, but later I found out that these fools were fishing for human lives. Now it's overturned. Now, are you talking about the overall situation with me again? If the situation turns bad, aren't they just trying to kill themselves?" 2 of the 4 sword holders were killed, and the god of war didn't take any action. The high-end combat power was completely stretched, and they all started to be forcibly recruited. The senior professionals have gone out to fight against the beast tide, and the sword-wielding division has clearly been counterattacked. As soon as he finished speaking, he walked straight out, gritted his teeth and said, "These people are unreliable, I'll do it myself. After all, I'm also a third-level professional, so I can save everyone. Together, I'll go too." Immediately, several admissions officers responded and planned to go with him. The admissions officer of Yuching Academy smiled bitterly and said, "What you said, I didn't say they were right. Okay, let's go together. Are you a third-level professional?" A group of admissions officers were preparing to leave Tianmen City and rushed outside to provide support. On the other side of the square, there was a sudden exclamation. Several beast tides have been dispersed. It's the beast tide over the plain. There are probably more than 10,000 in number, and they have dispersed. There are also strange movements in the beast tide in the south. What's going on? Is someone doing something secretly? I'm not sure. Where's the live footage? Can you see what's going on at the scene? In the square, the people in the sword division received the latest news one after another, and their expressions were all shocked. Immediately, a mage deployed large-scale detection skills to see what was going on at the scene. Look at the results. Just make them look stupid. A black shadow flashed across the sky above the beast tide like lightning, and the monsters along the way exploded one after another. Hundreds of monsters were harvested in one move, and after a few flying back and forth, the beast tide was killed until it collapsed. Behind that figure, there were many professionals from the Abyss sect chasing him angrily. As a result, the flight speeds of both sides were not at the same level at all. Those professionals from the Abyss sect could only follow and eat ashes. This guy. Who is he from? All the members of the sword-wielding department at the scene were shocked. Where did such a fierce man come from? A group of admissions officers also came over. When they saw the mysterious man's dress clearly, they immediately recognized his identity. It's that top professional. Has he awakened his flying skills? Can he fly before he reaches his second turn? And he can kill monsters faster. He has the skill to instantly kill the Abyss Demon Elephant, but why does it feel like there is no CD? Several admissions officers were also shocked. The professionals who were originally going to deal with the beast tide stopped moving now and were all watching the show. After all, someone is rushing to do the work, and they can enjoy their leisure time without going out to take risks. Isn't this great? In the crowd, Sun Tianren saw the figure in the picture and slapped his forehead. Oh shit. Old Wu asked me to take people to the camp, so that's what he meant. You have discovered a genius, please speak clearly. Am I not an idiot? Sun Tian's ninjas are numb. At that time, he thought that these were relatives of his colleagues and wanted to ask them to help. After finding that there was no danger, Sun Tianren did not waste time. Who would have thought that this is not what it means? The professionals around him also noticed the clues. This guy doesn't seem to be a high-level professional. He was still leveling up when he was killing monsters. Below level 90, can fly, and can kill monsters instantly. This is definitely a top hidden profession. Whose monster is this? From Haicheng? From Baicheng? Could it be Tianmen City's secret trump card? Everyone was talking about it. Some people even suspect that this is Tianmen City's secret weapon. After all, this person can spawn monsters much faster than a high-level professional. In the blink of an eye, there are hundreds of monsters, and he can kill the beasts until they collapse and run away in a few circles. Even the professionals from the Abyss sect are unable to defeat him. They can't hit him, but they can't catch up with him. If he was given an hour, he could wipe out the beast tide by himself, right? Quick, go support him. Don't let the top professionals of the Abyss religion react. Sun Tianren suddenly roared, thinking of making up for the loss, and shouted. He slaughtered the beast tide on such a large scale, and soon there will be a fifth-turn professional to take action. Come with me to help. Forget it, there are not enough fifth-turn professionals for him to kill. The admissions officer of Donghua Academy sneered. Just now in the hall, we saw him kill 2 fourth-turn professionals of the Earth Spirit Association in seconds, chased a fifth-turn elder and beat him all over the ground, and finally beat him alive. When you go to support him, he has already done the work. What did you say? A professional who is not even a second turn, killed the fourth turn and beat the fifth turn. You are still asleep, right? Sun Tianren naturally didn't believe it. However, there were also members of the sword division who witnessed the scene at the scene, and whispered, Captain Sun, he didn't lie. Captain Wu and I were there and saw it clearly. This professional is indeed a bit against the sky. Sun Tianren opened his mouth and didn't say anything for a long time. If this is true, it is more than just against the will of heaven. It is simply against the will of heaven. Look, this guy is heading to another beast tide. That is the battlefield of Master Yaoguang's sword. No, the Death Mage is still fighting Master Yaoguang's sword. If he breaks into the battlefield, something bad will happen. We have to find a way to remind him. The people in the sword division were anxious. It's not that they treat them differently. But if a genius of this level makes any mistake, it will be a huge loss for the human race. At this time, Chu Ran also felt that he was being watched. The abyss gazing passive is responsive again. But he didn't care. This kind of large-scale detection skill cannot be avoided even if you want to. After he killed the beast tide below, he flew towards another beast tide. After such hard work, his level has reached 57. Through the skill of Abyss Feast, he has also gained more than 10 attribute points. Focus all your attention on defense and strengthen your life-saving ability, so that you can be safe even when you are in trouble. That dragon head seems to be a top-notch monster. I wonder how many attribute points it will give you if you kill it. During the flight, Chu Ran kept staring at the rotten dragon head, and had already begun to calculate the reward for killing this thing. That's right, Chu Ran did not accidentally enter the battlefield between the Yaoguang Sword Master and the Death Mage. This is what he came for. That big head is so conspicuous that it's hard not to notice. He first killed off the beasts on the other side of the plain, made sure that Qi Wenxuan and the others would not encounter any danger, and then came to cause big trouble. Fully implement the truth of seeking wealth through risk. If I want to encounter such good conditions again in the future, I don't know when I have to wait. Is it okay if I don't take advantage of this wave to gain weight? Master Yaoguang's sword, give up resistance and throw yourself into the embrace of the abyss. On the battlefield, the Death Mage holds a bone staff in his hand and has a hoarse old voice. From time to time he summons various difficult creatures to harass the Yaoguang Sword Master. The highly rotten dragon head in the sky was also spitting out black breath crazily at this moment, although its head was filled with densely packed lightsabers and was severely damaged. But this kind of death-attributed abyss creature has no concept of pain or fear at all. It is a terrifying monster that is not afraid of death. The master of the Yaoguang sword stepped on the long sword, dodged and moved around to avoid the dragon's breath, and at the same time constantly tried to attack the Death Mage himself. He said in a cold voice, "Does throwing yourself into the arms of the abyss mean that you become a monster like you, neither human nor ghost? Then, I'm really sorry, I'm not very interested." The Death Mage waved his hand and released a magic shield in front of him to block the attack. He shook his head and sighed. The world has too many misunderstandings about the abyss. Why don't you let go of your obsession and become our brothers and sisters? The gods will bless you. Only then will you understand how stupid the current human race is. There is no point in fighting God. He shook his staff, and hundreds of skeleton archers crawled out of the soil, with blue flames dancing in their eyes, and they all opened their bows and fired. Swish, swish, swish. A batch of bone arrows flew out. A circle of lightsabers opened up behind the Yao Light Sword Master, and they flew out in dense numbers, cutting down the rain of arrows. But at this time, the dragon head in the sky breathed out again. The Yaoguang Sword Master couldn't dodge, so he could only carry it hard. Boom! Her figure was directly swallowed up. A few seconds later, the Yao Light Sword Master, surrounded by a circle of lightsabers, rushed into the sky again, with anger in his beautiful eyes. "I'll kill you first, you beast." She was completely irritated by this big rotting lizard. Taboo. 9 Tribulation's sword. The 9 lightsabers separated from her back, merged into one, and turned into a huge sword that reached the sky and the earth, like a mountain peak, flying towards the dragon's head. The dragon head roared and roared. Being struck by this sword, his head was almost cut off. But it is an abyss creature with the attribute of death after all. This sword only severely damaged it, but did not really take it away. No more tricks. The Death Mage sneered and waved the bone staff, and the terrible scars on the dragon's head quickly healed. As long as I am not dead, these creatures will not be killed. This is the authority given to me by the gods of the abyss. Master Yaoguang's sword, recognize the reality, you are no match for me. The death mage's tone gradually became louder and prouder. In his opinion, the outcome has already been decided. The Yaoguang sword master's face was as dark as water, and his pretty face was covered with frost. He put his fingers together and touched the center of his eyebrows. Then take this old thing like you away. She was ready to use the trick of dying together. At this point, if we don't kill one of the top opponents, there will really be no way to reverse the situation. Hee, it's all in vain, why don't you understand? If you want to kill me, you may not have the ability to do so. To die together is even more unreasonable. The death mage held up the bone staff in his hand. His tone was not only proud, but also a bit sarcastic. The Yaoguang sword master ignored his taunts and wiped a blood mark between his eyebrows with 2 fingers. His momentum skyrocketed. It's like burning life. She is a 7th level professional and has mastered many forbidden skills. If you want to risk your life, even an 8th level professional must weigh it carefully. Although the death mage said it lightly, he was really wary of the Yaoguang sword master dying with him. Just then, the dragon head in the sky suddenly let out a terrified scream. The death mage was startled. I couldn't help but look up and found that the giant dragon I summoned seemed to be going crazy. It started to swing its head around and its huge body rolled. What's going on? The death mage was immediately startled. The giant dragon he summoned was a level 200 abyss creature. It was considered a relatively powerful monster even in the abyss. It also had the attribute of death and didn't understand what fear was at all. If he didn't have the ability given by the gods, it would be really difficult to summon such a powerful existence. Even the taboo of the Yaoguang sword master couldn't kill it completely instantly. What on earth scared it? The change of the dragon made the Yaoguang sword master pause. She turned her head and saw a figure flying from a distance, holding a chicken leg in his hand. No, it seemed to be a weapon. While the Yaoguang sword master was thinking, the figure had already arrived next to the dragon head and smashed it with a stick. Bang! A loud noise came. The dragon head was hit to the side and was immediately hit with a bloody wound. This damage is a bit exaggerated, right? The Yaoguang sword master blinked. He had to release the taboo skill to break the defense. How could this person smash the dragon's head with a stick? The death mage was also panicked at this time and quickly said, "Who is it? Stop it." He was about to move to intercept. But the Yaoguang sword master would definitely not let him do what he wanted. He immediately stopped him and said coldly, "Old man, what do you want to do?" The death mage gritted his teeth and said, "Get out of my way." He hadn't finished his words yet. The figure holding the chicken leg club swung his arm again and smashed it down. A large piece of the dragon's head was directly smashed. The bones were broken. "No, you fight back." The death mage's eyes were red. He was connected to the creature he summoned and could feel how terrible the damage it had suffered. He couldn't help but cursed. "Stop hitting. Stop hitting. Is this dragon yours?" After hitting it twice and finding that it was not dead, Chu Ran scratched his head and felt embarrassed. "I thought no one wanted it. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more."